Hello again, producers. Welcome back to the idolmaster Sucks podcast, where we discuss idolmaster content, and this is the regular news podcast where we discuss about things related to the idolmaster for the past few months. We decided to not make an episode for July and June, specifically because we felt like the amount of news that was going to be included throughout the second for the 2 months that would go by would be a little too hectic and momentous to talk about. Like, if we would make one episode, we would feel like we would have to include another one when another news announcement just came by. So we decided to wait for everything concerning 15th anniversary to be done first before actually making this episode. So apologies if anything seems like we were delayed or we didn't put on the podcast, but we will be doing this regularly now since the months have seemed return to normal, and we can discuss about things on a lighter pace or a better pace. So, Joe and Metal, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Though I'm worried that maybe we probably should have done some podcasts at the month because maybe we've got too much to talk about.
Yeah, we'll try and keep things like at a normal, average level. Hopefully, we'll have to like compress it as much as possible. Also,
yeah, because we have almost 2 podcasts worth of news at this point.
Basically, we have the entire 15th anniversary to talk about. Some of these branches, admittedly, are going to have a little more to talk about than the others, but that's basically because of the whole idea of where they belong to in relation to 15th anniv, as opposed to some of the others. So,
exactly like before anniv.
Yeah, exactly. Like before anniv, during anniv. So I guess we're going to just start off with a general standpoint. Meaning news and updates regarding the entire franchise. You know, not one particular branch, the franchise as a whole, idolmaster as a whole. And concerning 15th anniversary, all I can say is that it was very, very well done, despite all the pandemic troubles. Of course, they would have loved it more, but they have done what they could at the resources that they currently have, and what they did do was nothing short of amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah. So what they ended up doing was they actually hilariously enough, Idolmasters never really had an official YouTube channel. They always would broadcast all their IMAS lives and IMAS trailers on the official Japanese Bandai Namco channel, or 876 TV, Banamu TV. So what they decided to do was that they decided to just split all the Idolmaster content into its own avenue and just make an official Idolmaster YouTube channel. And for a while, people were just like, oh, it's just going to be, a good resource for all content. What people didn't know was that they were going to launch this channel in a huge way. Like, they launched it with an entire live viewing of the 765 anime, the movie, and Masters of Idol World 2014 Day 2, all of Masters of Idol World 2015, SideM first, Shiny first, all leading up to the 15th anniversary stream. And that was literally like a whole weekend of just nothing but Idolmaster content with a 9-10 hour break in between.
It was like people were waking up and having their sleep schedules destroyed because of trying to keep up with the streams. Because for the most part, and this is important for people who don't realize why streams like these were very much appreciated. A lot of these things are not available to people outside of Japan, like the movie or SideM and Shiny First, or because Masters of Idol World is a very expensive Blu-ray disc, so people won't be able to buy that as much compared to the Blu-ray discs. So for a lot of things that were on the stream, they were very unavailable and very, very rare to be seen by outside fans. And even within Japan itself, there were a lot of people who have never seen Masters of Idol before, who've never seen SideM First before. So this was
the movie itself.
Yeah, the movie itself.
Yeah, the movie itself is a pretty big one, considering that, anyone, as long as, anyone can watch any of the A1 anime, 765, Cinderella Girls, and SideM officially on Crunchyroll and stuff like that. But nobody has the movie available on their services. The only way you can watch the movie legally is by purchasing the Blu-ray. So the fact that they actually stream the movie on the YouTube channel, and the fact that they're gonna like stream it again at some point eventually, I seriously think that, that's pretty cool, considering that, so many people have never seen the movie. So for a lot of people, it's their first exposure to, like, the summer camp. It's their first exposure to, like, very early portrayals of the Million Live, and especially it's their first time seeing Masterpiece in context.
Yeah, so that everyone knows why they love it so much. Everyone knows where these iconic scenes come from. Horror shout-outs, what would be considered as the golden age of the All-Stars. And it's just like, it's a great way to kick off the channel. And it's not like it was the only thing that they've done for the channel. Like, the channel has been two things, like have short videos displaying hashtags that they can do on Twitter. There are, like, now that all the channel, or now that all the MVs are being posted on the channel, all the fans need to do is just go to the channel and see what's new there, because they posted things like Awesome TV, the latest Antika stream, and they also have the SideM stream right there, because something that was hard was, we got Columbia, we got Landis, we got 876, like, where do you go to find all that stuff? But especially since they've been voluntarily trying to rely less on Nico Nico Doga, because a lot of companies recently for the digital entertainment has been relying a lot less on Nico Nico Doga because of the YouTube boom. Having one central place is one of the really, really biggest changes that I think was most important for them at the 15th anniversary.
It's also very convenient for us, considering that in the past, if we wanted to, like, go back and find, like, old IMAS content, we either had to, like, search it on YouTube, or if we wanted to go to Bamco's official channel, we had to scroll through so many different unrelated videos. It's like, if we want to find idolmaster, we gotta scroll through Tekken, we gotta scroll through Tales, we gotta scroll through Gundam, Digimon, Sword Art Online, Dragon Ball, all that stuff, just so we can get to whatever content that we want to get to. So the fact that we have just one centralized all IMAS hub, I think is super convenient, because it's like we don't have to scroll through all that stuff anymore. We can just scroll through. We just scroll through a lot easier and just get to the content that we want to get to.
You don't need to share with nobody, and that's the best part.
This is my house.
Yeah, it's awesome. Second thing that happened for 15th anniversary was the restructuring of the actual idolmaster official site, because that was also something that was kind of weird, because Columbia has their own site for idolmaster, Landis has their own site for idolmaster, and then there's idolmaster JP, which acts like a blog, but not much else. So the actual official site ended up becoming like a database for the idols. They changed up a lot of things about the site, where you can now, like, whenever you go to certain parts of the site, and let's say go to the idol of a certain branch, all of the available platforms that the branch currently has, well, not exactly all of them, but a good majority of the branches or a good majority of the resources of each branch is available, like on that idol. They represented this, or they presented this in a way that was pretty cool, that they lined up all of the arts of cards, of like SSR cards, SS arts, except for a couple of EX titles, and in classic Bandai Namco fashion, SideM ended up getting their arts a little shafted on the very first few weeks, but then they changed it out a few later to have the horizontal SSR art. So now the only idols who are missing horizontal SSR art are like Leon, Sheikah,
and the Dearly Stars. But then again, those make sense, because Leon and Sheikah, they don't really have like individual horizontal art in TD. Same goes for Dearly Stars, and I find it funny that for the Dearly Stars, they reused their really old, crusty 2009 art instead of using something like the Cinderella Girls art.
Yeah.
That's a lot more recent and a lot more modern, and a lot more appealing, because like
they had to keep it authentic.
I mean, you're right, but
if they wanted to keep it authentic, why are they using Theater Days SSR arts for the All Stars? They could have used OFA.
Or like Leon and Sheikah using their like standard like SRs from like Theater Days instead of like Leon's 3D model.
Leon's 3D model.
See, but then you open up the Pandora's box, which means that you could potentially have home screen Haruka.
Oh dear, no, that's a little too authentic.
I want that though.
No, we should show the world that's what our red leader looks like. But what's cool is when you open the site, it says like when you click on an idol, it says like it has their bio data, a really really quick profile, like a signature card, and then you can tweet about the idol, you can learn more, you can go to the Play Store directly to download the game that the idol is featured from. It's basically like a really really nice portal to introduce you to the idol. And I found a lot of like really really cool moments where my friends were interacting with it. Like they opened it up, and because what happens when you open the site is you're given 10 idols in this weird ass gacha form. It's actually pretty cryptic where they show the very first thing that they do is that they give you some weird ass gacha 10 pool or something, and then the 10 idols that show up, you can click on each of them and you can put a star on them saying this idol caught my attention. I'll check back on them later. And I saw a lot of my friends like who were mutuals and into different franchises, like outside of idols, like outside of even like music series. It's like they're not even into the other music series, they just found the site and they were like, oh, this character interests me, that character interests me. And if everyone was doing that, I guess the forum was doing its job. I think that they're going to add more features to it in the future. Or you know what? If they just keep it that way, I think it's like the best way that people understand Japanese or like Japanese fans. They can say, "Hey, give me a nice little quick guide about the characters," and just go to the site.
Also, I actually did not know until recently when that site opened up that, you know, not counting some like rivals or like the Korean idols from CG, we officially have 315 idols in the idolmaster, which means Psycho Domination, baby.
We are at 315 idols. We have Psycho idols.
Psycho Domination, baby.
and that's just going to be ruined when the next unit of Shiny Colors comes in next year. Anyway, what's this?
Damn it.
Yeah, so that site was really, really cool. And I hope they improve it. I hope they add some some more things to use that site with. But if they don't, then that's what we have the YouTube channel for. All in all, I think for a general news concerning the idolmaster 15th anniversary, they're really changing up how idolmaster is, because one of the things that I can notice, or I can tell people who are into idolmaster or haven't been around for long, is that and this is more of a product of its environment. It's not really like a weakness of idolmaster. It's more of like a result of how long it's been alive. But idolmaster was pretty everywhere. Like a lot of the resources for idolmaster were very, very scattered. People would go here for that. People would go there for something else. Just because of how many licenses there is involved with idolmaster, you go to different websites, you go to different channels, and that sort of like was the idolmaster experience for me, because of how big of a company Bandai Namco is and how many people they have to talk to keep idolmaster afloat. But just seeing that there are resources now that are available that has everything, well, I'd say 90% of idolmaster content that's going to be available, it feels like moving forward for 15th anniversary, there isn't going to be a lot of separation behind idolmaster content, because look, just go over to the idolmaster channel right now. When you see the Mantika stream, you see the waiting room for the 315 stream, you see Miki, you see Spin-Off, you see the anime PvP from Million Live, everything's there. You don't need to go nowhere. And it's more of just a way to centralize idolmaster, which has been hard for the past few years.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of...
Start putting music on the channel.
Okay, like two things. One, I really hope that they do more, like they post the lives more, because what they did with like Shiny First and SideM First and Masters of Idol World, where after like the live streams ended, they kept those lives on the channel for like a week for people to watch them, like absolutely free, no region lock, no VPN needed. You just click it, you watch it. Please do that more often, because that is so convenient.
It's no surprise that a lot of people's opinions on certain characters and certain people, like we have someone here in the server who I've never heard talk about Nao Yokoyama ever in his life, like from Italy life. And then he watches all the streams that we're going to talk about later, and then he immediately likes Nao a lot, or he likes Yumi and Watanabe a lot. Because watching lives really gives you like a different outlook on the series. Like, sure, it's okay to not like lives, or do not like or watch them. Like, you don't really need to do that. But your entire perception of the content, of the songs, of the performers changes when you see lives. One really good example was one of my friends. He was saying that he's not into real idol series, like real performers as a whole, but he appreciated like the whole way SideM does things. When they saw W kick the footballs, or when they saw High Joker join the crowd and whatnot, like he didn't think that those are the kinds of things these sort of live events could do, because his idea of idol series was just, stand in one spot and sing, which is okay. It's just that there was a lot of different things that he didn't know about that he got exposed to. And this is one person among hundreds of thousands who are watching the lives.
Oh yeah, like two things. One, I appreciate you using the right term, football, and not soccer. And second, and second, watching SideM first, like properly, gave me interest in, actually wanting to learn more about SideM, because it's not like I was ignoring SideM. SideM was still a presence to me. It's just that I didn't give it as much attention as other branches. But after watching SideM first, I want to get more invested in it. Like, immediately after SideM first, I decided to rewatch the anime, and at some point I'm going to read the magazines, read some commus, listen to translated, and I want to get more into SideM. And one thing that, a lot of, like, context and, like, performances and, like, all of that change after you watch the lives, because I watch the SideM anime, and I see the study equal magic, like, recreation in the anime, and while it's not bad, you can't top the live. Like, you cannot top the first live performance of Study Equal Magic.
Yeah.
I dare you.
And a lot of people found that context. A lot of people were allowed to be exposed to that. And ever since then, like, I've checked all the servers, CG server, Million Live server, Chinese server, SideM server. People have been coming in droves, and that's one of the greatest things ever. We do here on the channel plan to make a guide video for that people, because one of the things that ended up happening was, since people were coming in droves, they started asking what's the difference between the series, because they saw idolmaster, and now there's Shiny Colors, Cinderella Girls, Million Live, SideM. Like, what's the difference? So we're gonna help you out here. But that's it for the general news.
Another thing I actually did want to bring up is shout out to the chat in the live streams, because you'd think that the chat would be like kind of a disaster, a bunch of shit posts, a bunch of trolls. But thankfully they're all really respectful, they're all really supportive, and they had like really fun inside jokes where it's like every single time like Jupiter showed up, like the chat would just explode in cycle during the Nabucco anime, or like how freaking it's like so many people would like catch like so many references and all that, like freaking like when the movie was happening, so many people were like, oh, that's where the training camp came from. And then it's like they saw like the Million Live Idols, it's like, wait, Kana, now wait, what are they doing here? Like they would just catch all these like little Easter eggs and little references, and some of them would even have like some little inside jokes where it's like episode 3 of like 765 anime, like all the like big burly muscle men that try and help Yukihiro, everyone was just going frame, oh my god, it's frame, oh look, it's frame in the chat. It was just so fun.
One of my favorite chat moments ever was in the credits of the movie. Matsuri shows up for 2 seconds, and then the entire chat just becomes full, and then everyone just starts full.
Oh, it's exploding in chat.
The chat was really, really good. So we hope that it happens more. Stream Hodgepodge, stream CG more, stream freaking Summer Party for Shiny, stream SideM Third. Let's go, because it's obviously working. But they not
stream everything.
Yeah. Well, not exactly stream everything because they're gonna lose money. Or what they can do is after they stream something, they immediately resell the Blu-ray of that live.
Listen, we joke about how you have a Bamco bug in your freaking room, just listening to your every move and just making everything you say come true. Good God. Bamco, if you're listening.
Hire me, I'll do your market research. But that's for general news. We're going to go into a couple of shiny colors right now, because we're going to talk about a lot of the things that happened per branch, because while there was a lot of things happening for idolmaster as a whole, July and June were some of the most jam-packed news months for, I'd probably say all the branches at this point, because now that I remember some of the things that happened back then. as the last ones. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that shiny CG inside it don't have anything to talk about. So let's
Yeah.
go to shiny colors, where one of the more interesting things happened, and I think I'm gonna word it very, very horribly if I get it wrong. So I'm gonna pass it over to someone who knows what exactly happened. But I think there was something in shiny that happened concerning some of the writing staff. So go ahead.
Oh, okay, I guess we're starting with that first. Alright, so one of the things that happened during our interim here is that one of the writers for Shiny decided to make themselves known on Twitter. And this was an author, or this is a writer rather, who particularly focused on straight light scenarios, but also was a writer, I believe, for, Fuyuko and Sakuya? I'd have to pull up the...
It was Fuyuko, Sakuya, and Tenka.
Oh, and Tenka, correct. Which everybody already has their theories onto why that seems kind of fishy, considering that 2 out of those 3 are in Starlit. But essentially the tweet was not only an announcement of who they have been writing for since the beginning of Shiny, but also that they were leaving Shiny. So a lot of people got really worried that now, because a writer for 3 particularly big characters is now gone, that the quality of the writing is going to go down. And I have seen already some small complaints here and there, especially in regards to Fuyuko, I notice, in terms of story quality. So we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. We know that they're very particular about making sure the writers are almost always dedicated to maybe 1 to 2 characters, or in this case 3. But it also seemed like that writer had worked on some of the scenarios at the very beginning of the game. So it's tricky.
Yeah, it's a very good scenario. So I was actually, I had enough free time to look into what I could find out about this. And apparently, so one of the things that we sort of found out is that there has been a lot of shuffling with idolmaster Shiny Colors staff. Apparently this is due to the fact that I may get this horribly wrong, so correct me if I am. It was something that the people shared in general. There's a company that Banco hired as writing staff, and now they're being shuffled constantly as staff for Shiny, in and out, and we've only found that out now. And I don't think this has anything to do with the pandemic, because it reveals that this has been happening even way before 2020. Tomari might have been just one case. This might be just everybody else's case. So we found out that this is not just a coincidence, or this is not just there's an explanation behind it to the staff that is now shuffling around Shiny Colors. I'm not very sure what to think about it, because for the most part, Shiny has gotten successful because of the people they chose to work on it. People who have the fashion choice, who have the scenario writing. People will give their time and effort to these characters and these scenarios. And now that we know that the staff is actually being shuffled a lot more than we think they are, I'm not saying it's gonna spell doom and gloom for Shiny. It's just of course not, because Shiny's been more successful than it's ever been. But it sets off a couple of wires.
Yeah, and as it's brought up in chat here too, some of the issues that people found with Fuyuko's writing in her new scenario is that it feels like facets of her character have been sort of, not necessarily left behind, but it's not getting as much of a balanced spotlight as some of the other aspects. Her newest scenario mostly focuses on her being more of that teasing kind of not snarky, but that sort of level of interaction between her and the producer. But it feels like she's lost a bit of what made her sort of interesting from the very beginning, which is that when you met Fuyuko in her very first scenario, you found her outside of an anime store, hiding under a mask, buying merchandise, with the intent of not being found by people she knows. But we haven't really seen anything from that in a little bit, and especially now with the new scenario. And especially when you come off of her SSR1's true ending, which, not to necessarily go into huge spoilers about it, though I think it is technically on YouTube now, she goes into very big detail about how much she actually just like loves idols as a whole, not just being an idol, but also like just loving idols. And it feels like we are losing that. And unless there's going to be some payoff for it in a new Fuyuko scenario, it just seems like a weird step backwards for her as a character.
So something I've actually been noticing is that people are thinking that this is going to happen to every character, and I want to dispel their fears that it doesn't seem that way. Although there are a couple of big examples right now, like, you know, the aforementioned Fuyuko, and I guess Chiaki. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry, man. There are still idols who are still keeping up a consistent, you know, really good story. Renn has never dropped the ball once. Yumika has never dropped the ball once. So I think what is now more of it's less of an issue and more of an observation. As we feel like, you know, since the very thing that holds Shiny I think something unique are the scenarios, and now we're noticing a sort of like, I don't want to use the term crack in the armor, but I sort of think that applies here, question mark. Anyway, whatever it is, there are changes that are happening to the Shiny staff and the scenario writers, no doubt. We're just not sure if it's something that we should totally be, you know, too afraid about. Maybe it's like, you know, everyone has their highs and their lows, you know, a wheel, or what's the phrase? The tire goes up and down every now and then. So this may be a low point. Maybe they're setting us up, and they're going to bamboozle us later with really, really good stories that justifies all the changes. But for the most part, story things have been getting a little noticeably, and that's only one aspect. I mean, we've also had insanely good music releases recently, and one of the biggest Shiny Colors memes that's ever lived is No Fuyu 2, just died. We're going to talk about dead memes on this podcast for damn sure. We're going to talk about dead
We've already at least brought up a couple of them.
I will say, going back to the whole stories and commus thing, another thing people notice, and this is actually leaning more a bit towards a good thing, maybe like a grim look at the future if you want to be cynical, but we did recently with their grad scenarios get like big character developments, or at least like a closing in a chapter and a beginning of a new one for Sakuya and Tenka, which in hindsight could be an indication of like the shift in writers, in that the former writer wanted to just conclude, or at least like put a huge development in the story arcs that they were setting up for those characters for the past 2 years. And some people also speculated that those, alongside She's a Good Song for You, which we're going to get to in a bit, could be a setup for their appearances in Starlit season.
I mean, it's more of like causation-ism. Whatever, I don't know what the phrase is, but like, people are just trying to connect lines, and I can see that. I don't blame them for that. But
I mean, I feel like especially for like Tenka's scenario, because if you've read Tenka's grad scenario, it feels like it'd be a good setup for her to be in Starlit season, because not to go into like too much spoilers, but at some point, it essentially just like hints towards Tenka going a bit more solo and independent. So that could be cause for her appearance in Starlit season.
So what I'm saying is, until I see Anzu actually picking up her shit, or Mika doing something super cool, or like Ranko saying she needs to go and learn more power or something, I'm a hold off on that theory.
So what you're saying is that we need Nick Fury to come in to freaking Starlight Stage and just like go up to Mika and say, "We got a little initiative for you."
Nick Fury P. I gotta put him right next to Vegeta P for sure. So going back to Shiny, yeah, a couple of things have been, a couple of groundbreaking releases have happened. Stray Light fans, in particular, are going to be happy about a couple of things. Me and a couple of the other people in the server went in-depth discussion about the new Stray Light release, and for all that we've said about, you know, the scenarios and the writing, I feel like this is, I should have probably said this as like a general news thing, but the music this year is killing it. Like, every now and then we say that there's a branch that's, you know, lagging behind, or this branch has the upper hand. Every single branch this year has been killing it with the music, and Shiny Colors is no slack. So the latest release is Reid Ewing 06, Hide and Attack, and Destined Rivals. I mean,
Chef's kiss. Mwah.
chef's kiss. Go ahead and purchase it legally.
Purchase it legally, or listen to it in game. I mean, it's shorter, but you can listen to them in game right now.
Suffice to say, they have those two songs have satisfied Streetlight fans thoroughly.
Yeah, not to mention that the two songs in there very particularly point out that they are growing in their music too. And it's something that you can kind of pick up with them especially, is that it feels like all of their songs are just building towards one big narrative, which is very interesting. We start out with Wandering Dream Chaser. They're no longer wandering. They are no longer asking. They are there. They're going to make their names known. And that's what they try to prove with Destined Rivals.
Hence the term hide and attack. They were hiding. They were trying to find themselves. And then now that they know who they are, they're going to get you.
Exactly. I believe by the end of the grad scenario, they more or less decide that Straylight are not going to lose to anyone. So, I don't know. Whatever their next album is going to be is probably going to be super killer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next album series is going to be for everybody else, because obviously, these are getting released in a very weird order.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
Thanks, COVID.
Because of the pandemic, what ends up happening is Straylight and Optional are going to get theirs first, and then the original units.
See, and in a way, I think that almost worked out. I don't know if it would have been more impactful or not, because if you think about it, if you had every Grade 8 Wing release in its proper order, and then it ends on Straylight, with Straylight basically announcing to every CD before it that we're going to be better than you, I feel like that sounds like that would have been a really cool way for that CD series to end. So for it to be the start is a very interesting declaration, and kind of almost changes the feeling of it as a whole. So, I don't know. I think it might have worked out in the better for it, but we'll have to see.
It also helps their schedule in that they were able to release all the info on Grade 8 Wing 06 and Destined Rivals at the exact same time as Fuyu 2 came out.
Yeah, that was they probably planned that.
Probably. And as mentioned in chat, one of the big lines at the end of their scenario event, World End Breakdown, is that we will counterattack your image of us in your mind.
But I will say...
Oh, sorry, that's in Hide and Attack. My apologies.
Okay, but I will say, the funniest thing, and we did discuss this in the server, is to us, the lyrics are so deep and super special, but to in-universe fans, they're probably thinking, what the hell are they talking about?
That's very true. Also in music releases, unless, Renn, you have anything else you want to talk about with the Grade 8-6?
Oh, no. We're going to move over to music releases before we talk about one last topic about Shiny.
Sure. So, one other album that released not too long ago was, for better or worse, the April Fool's album, which is a peek into what we will see with image songs and solos. So, the Devitaro vs. Justice 5 album released, I believe it was July 29th. Most people have access to it now. There are probably other ways to access it, but I'm not your mother. Do what you gotta do. So naturally we have Devitaro no Uta as well as Zettai Seigi every day. And a lot of people were surprisingly disappointed about Devitaro no Uta because, as you know, you can I believe you can still listen to the song in-game. And if not, the release is available on YouTube.
You can't listen to it in-game because it was only available for that, and Zettai Seigi every day were only available for 12 hours on April Fool's.
Oh, yeah, that's true. For some reason, I thought they might have added them in later after a certain update. But either way...
I want them to, though.
Yes, agreed. So, people have already uploaded the game version of the song to YouTube, as people that have been curious about it probably already know. However, now that the CD release is out, what we have learned is that the game version of Devitaro no Uta is the full release. So...
I mean, in hindsight... it kind of makes sense that it's that long because you can make the implication that that's like, you know, the OP for the Devitaro kids show that's in universe. It's just that
Exactly.
Tenka's like making her own version of it, and it fits like that length of being a kid show OP.
But that's not
Now-
enough. It's not.
I want more.
I need more
Yep.
Devitaro. People on this show, people on this show probably don't realize how much I love Devitaro. Not Ultrameria themselves, just Devitaro.
Now, Zentai Seiki every day, or Absolute Justice every day. Now, that is, as much as it's supposed to be an OP for a tokusatsu series, that might as well be Kaho's image song. And when we hit the point where we're actually getting proper image songs, they have a tall order to try to topple.
Proper image songs. That's the next thing we gotta kill.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like we were in a very similar situation with Ronco back then, where it's like after freaking Rosenberg Angel, and they were doing like second solos for all the CG idols. It's like, wait, but what about Ronco? And we heard like she was gonna get a third solo. It's like, how are you gonna top Angel? Kaho's in that exact same scenario where it's like, wait, but Zentai Seiki every day might as well just be her freaking image song. How are you gonna give her a real image song after that?
Exactly.
Pio can do it. Pio can do it. I'm pretty sure he can do it.
She can definitely do it. We just have to hope that whoever writes her image song is going to just like know exactly what they need to channel to beat this.
So step one, we need to hope that image song can happen. That's the first thing we gotta do.
True.
We gotta do that first. We gotta take it step by step.
That's one meme that's not dead.
Well, we gotta kill it. That's what we gotta do.
True.
But another meme that we have to kill, and this is something I have to talk about. I don't understand why this is happening.
Oy vey.
If you're on a team company,
I'm sorry.
No, wait, hold that thought for a second, because we have one other CD to talk about.
right, solo collection.
Yes, so alongside the Devitaro and Justice 5 CD, we got the solo collection that's supposed to be based off of the second live, which, yeah, you know. Press F, all that good stuff, all the memes. But essentially, the solo collection, released around the same time, has solo versions of Triangle for the Illumination Stars, Labyrinth Resistance for Antika, Yorimichi Sunset for Hokago, Love Addiction for Alstromeria, and Transcending the World for Straight Light. And all of those are so good. All of those are so good. If you have not listened to some of the big standouts, like, if you didn't listen to basically any, well, I don't know if anybody has necessarily been singing, like, super crazy praises of Tenka's Love Addiction, but people really love Chiyuki and Amana's takes on it.
Everyone.
Yuika's Labyrinth Resistance.
Yes, I was about to say that. Everyone is going ham on Yuika's Labyrinth Resistance.
I called Eureka day one. I already called it was going to be the best. If not the Tika, probably the best. Probably in all of Point.
And I mean, we can't discount Triangle either, because I think the power of Triangle is learning how different that song feels when it's by one person versus when it's the friends.
As one of us in the server said, Triangle as a 3-unit song, as a 3-man song, sounds really feels. Triangle as a 1-person song sounds sad as hell. And I guess that's why it was written that way. But yeah, solo collections, they're basically just teasing us what it would sound like if we had more solo songs.
If we had actual solo.
Get on it, Papaya. Please, maybe.
Before we step into in-game so that Renn can be sad and that I can be sad in the future, we have to talk a little bit about merchandising as well. Yeah. As well as one of the other campaigns that was offered. I believe it's still technically going on.
Though there is actually some sad news when it comes to merchandising, which we'll get to after.
Well, I'll get to it when we get to it there, but they have some new merch, which, well, okay, there's also one of them that we kind of missed in the all branches news, which is that all the branches are getting a new CD.
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
damn.
in collaboration with the 15th anniversary, every branch is going to be getting a CD with the 15th anniversary song that you heard during the PV, and that's Nando Demo Waraou. Sorry if I butchered that.
Okay, so so how it's going to work is that there is one CD per branch. So there's going to be an All-Stars CD, a Cinderella Girls, Million Live, SideM, and Shiny Colors. And what those CDs are going to contain is they're going to contain the full version with all 15 members, and then there's going to be the unit-specific version. Yes, the 15-member one is called the idolmaster 5 stars, which that name, amazing, love it. So after the 5 stars version is going to be the branch-specific version, meaning, for example, if you bought the Shiny Colors CD, you're going to get the version with Illumination stars. If you bought the SideM CD, you're going to get the Dramatic stars version, etc. And then it's going to be an off-vocal version, which that's an important one that I'm going to mention in a little bit. And after that is going to be solo versions for each member in that unit. So, like, again, if you get the Million Live version, you're only going to get solos for Mirai, Shizuka, Tsubasa. Now, why the off-vocal version is important is because this is one of the few times, if not the first time, where a Lantis release of an IMAS single has an off-vocal version.
Again, we're killing themes, right? We never thought that Atlantis was going to off. We killed that maybe just one, at least once.
They at least did it once, and as we were pretty much implying, just like normal, like, it's actually really interesting that this is also not just a cross-branch fusion for, like, all the branches, it's also a cross-fusion for the 2 record distributions, because, as per usual, Columbia is going to release the All-Stars and CG versions, and Lantis is going to release the Million Live, SideM, and Shiny versions, which, if you really think about that, you might be worried that it's like, wait, isn't, like, Columbia going to lose out to Lantis because Lantis is producing, like, more versions? And it's like, yes, but when you consider that Columbia has Cinderella Girls alone, I think Columbia's going to be fine.
Yeah, going back to Shiny, the whole thing about the merch situation that I think Joe talk about is, I'm not quite sure if he's going to talk about what I think he is, but we'll leave what I'm going to talk about until he's done. So go ahead.
So we'll start with the positives. We've got a new figure that's up for pre-order, and it's up for pre-order until basically a month from now, until September 9th in JST.
Kogane 2, right?
Yes, it is the Fest version of Kogane 2. So if you are a Kogane
Wish I
P,
could buy it.
if you are out here wanting some pretty sick-looking figures, though I have seen some very amusing, nitpicky details about this outfit that a lot of the Twitter producers are saying, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, the funniest one to me is that how many people just they looked at the card, they looked at the card, and then they looked at the freaking, like, figure, and they compared the two, and so many people were like, did they make her bust bigger?
Wow, was that even possible? Like, one of my favorite reactions to this figure was, wow, I can't believe that we have a new Atelier protagonist. And I'm like, can you shut up?
Ryza who? Kogane.
No, I'm sorry, Atelier Kogane is my real name.
Atelier Kogane.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, reorder.
100-hour spinning Kogane? Oh god, if that
Maybe.
happens.
They didn't spin her. Like, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, they haven't done it yet. There's still a chance.
Yeah.
But then there's the other big one, and that is that the company, well, they're selling it via Asobi Store, but I believe it was produced by the company Aquamarine. Are making a
Kogane figure or
no. So the figure is through Good Smile. So as long as Good Smile doesn't disappear out of nowhere, you'll get your Kogane figure. Yeah, Good Smile's safe. Now, Aquamarine presented their own merchandise that you can collect, which is a much larger Devitaro plush.
Okay, I actually dug deep into this one. This isn't by Aquamarine, surprisingly enough.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently, and this is probably good news for everyone, because let's take some context. Aquamarine just started filing for bankruptcy, and Aquamarine is a merch provider and manufacturer for not just idolmaster, but for a lot of people. for a lot of fans. They do stuff for FGO, they do stuff for, I think Grapple also has some stuff, but they recently filed for bankruptcy, and a lot of the things that were previously up for order are no longer available for order. Basically, everything's canceled right now, and it's pretty touching that everyone was worried about this thing. But when they checked the merch list, apparently what was canceled was the little keychain things. This is still fine, but the little keychain things and the things that the very small handheld ones, not the one that you can put on your lap, and not the one that you can sit on. This thing is still fine. This big Devitaro is still fine.
You're still getting giant Devitaro, thank God.
But the rest, I'm sorry, has to go. Some things that Aquamarine also did was, I think, Mirai's very first figure, but we'll talk about that in a million. And I think they've also handled, like, basically a lot of shiny towels, shiny, acrylics and whatnot. And they'll have to find, I'm pretty sure Bandai Namco can find a production company for this, or manufacturer for it. There's Bandai Namco has the money. They can freaking buy us in the storefront. But yeah, I'm sorry that Aquamarine has to go. Hopefully they can pick themselves up in the future. And it's sad, but things happen.
So at least there's light at the end of the tunnel there.
Let's hope it's the kind of bankruptcy that they can bounce back out of, because the moment they file for like Chapter 11 and they can't pay that shit off, se acabó.
Yep. So now shifting into proper game news for Shiny, we've had our summer campaign, which has been on for a bit. If you've been seeing any posts, particularly about smooth water on your timeline, essentially they did a little small campaign where you can essentially ask an idol of your choice to do a little bit of PR, and there are new choices that are unlocked every so often. I think we have all of them now, or at least we have 2 out of the 3. So the first one that was available was smooth water, so you can essentially make this little tiny PR shoot of, hey, let's sell some water.
And by that you mean just use Toru to advertise smooth water.
Is the voting done already? It might be. I don't remember what the full time frame before it was.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, the campaign ends in a couple days from now.
Oh.
But we did have our voting for it.
All right.
Couple days from recording.
Because the big thing about it, okay, so the campaign ends on the 10th. So technically it ends in like a couple days for us, or maybe even just a day. But the big thing was that at the end of the voting, which I'm trying to find when they said the voting ended. I'm not finding it off the top, but essentially the voting is over. But the top 3 voted were going to get a special illustration done for them in relation to the PR. And the top 3, in sort of no surprise when you consider their characters and how things have happened in-game for them, the top 3 were Toru, Rinze, and Kaho.
Toru literally just waltzed into that contest, I swear to God.
I mean, it's definitely not fair when you are in the water unit and your cards all focus on water and your SSR2 also happens to have her being fixated around a water bottle.
It was a shoe-in. It was easy.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. The timing was perfect. But
so let's look forward to seeing what these illustrations are like and see how cute or cool they may or may not be. Not rigged, but they're definitely kind of like trying to force the hand just a little bit.
They nudged us in that direction.
So rigged. I'm kidding.
But that's not.
But now we have to move into, well, unless Renn has any final thoughts on that.
No, I don't have any final thoughts on that because I got way more thoughts about something else.
So now we have to talk about in-game lack of schedules. So please vent your frustrations now, Renn.
Well, I'm so sorry.
I don't wanna say things that have already been said, and I also don't want to turn this podcast into a rant because maybe some other guy might do it, and we have like more other rants to talk about. But come on, I mean, come on. Look, for context, for people who don't know what's going on, there has been a surprising amount. Well, not exactly surprising for Shiny Colors context, but there is a problem that Shiny Colors specifically produces of Antica that they are experiencing right now in the game. And that is that the Shiny team does not seem to know what is a schedule. Like, we meme a lot about how Bananako doesn't have patterns, but there are times where other branches and other franchises will follow something properly, and then that and CG has also done it. Like, they've also changed up a couple of things. This is when Synchros is happening. This is when double limb is happening. Sorry, triple limb. This is when triple limb is happening. Blah blah blah. Shiny has not done that, and they have.
There is no schedule. They just release whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, even M stage upload schedules now, and if M stage is doing something better than you are, I'm sorry. Shiny has released 8 limited cards in the span of 3 months, and 4, is it 4 or 3? No, 3 out of 8 of those cards are all Antica. I don't know why this is why. This has been something that has been an overlooming problem for a really long time, but we just didn't want to bring it up because they have to they have to get some footing, and us Antica please will take the bullet. But if you shoot us in the chest enough time, we are going to bleed. And I don't know.
Right now, y'all.
Yeah, I don't know their thought process behind this. I don't really know why this is what they're doing. I don't know why this sudden change. Why they've been deciding that this is a good thing. And if it was spanned across all the other units and all the other characters, I would be totally fine. But even if I was never an Antica, I would still feel sorry for the Antica leagues. Because they have to,
It also doesn't help that usually in Shiny they only have one PSSR per banner. In other branches they tend to have 2 or 3 SSRs per banner, so that at the very least they could do double limiteds or double perms or 1 limited, 1 perm, so that way there's a little bit of a balance. But in Shiny it's only 1 PSSR, a PSSR, an SSR, and a support SR, whatever. And even then, it's not usually the SRs, it's usually just the SSRs, the PSSR and the SSSR. And we never know when it's going to be limited or permanent, and there's only usually 1 of each. They never do multiple in the same banner. So I feel one way that they could just fix that a little bit, not completely fix it, but maybe have a little bit of a band-aid, is pretty much what we're seeing in chat. Is if Yuika and Rinzai were both part of the same banner, and they were just part of a double limited banner, it'd be a bit less of a problem, so that way, it'd be a little more balanced. But the fact that, they're doing this limited Yuika, and then immediately afterward we're gonna have a limited Rinzai, it just, Lord. If you like both those girls, I am so sorry.
Well, not to mention also the fact that we just came off of another limited banner. We just came off of limited Fuyu. And to give you an idea, to really run it back, for people who are not very familiar with how Shiny does things in terms of its gacha, so we have 2 different card types. We have Produce and Support, and typically the SSR pull rate is 5%. And for permanent cards, the pickup rate is 1%. So in the case of, say, 2 months ago, we had the introduction of Koito and Hinana's SSRs. You had a 1% chance to pull each of them, which that was also kind of a really tricky case because they released 2 PSSRs at the same time. So rather than make them one big banner, they decided to split the banners in half. So now, if you wanted to run Nocchill, you not only had to pull on one banner to get one card, you had to go to the other banner to then get the other card.
And it also didn't help that the month after we had Limited Toru 2.
Yeah. So
not even the month after, literally the banner right after.
Yep. So for people that were really interested in Nocchill, to put a time frame on it, mid-May, they released Toru 1, and immediately afterwards they released Madoka 1. A month later, they release Koito and Hinata together. Then immediately following them, so within a month's time, you get immediately Limited Toru 2. So now, people that pulled for Toru 1 feel stupid, Not only because, like, well, now the card is worse, but now you just have a card that straight up replaces you. So for the people that compare about the competitive side of things, just completely got blindsided by a new card because Shiny loves to focus all of its powers in the limited.
Yeah, especially considering that they very blatantly did it so that Noccho can catch up with other units. So that so last time when they did Stray Light, the Stray Light release schedule was very slow. It was like what, a few months gap between like May 1 and Fuyuko 1. And, people weren't very thrilled about that because for a while, Stray Light was an incomplete team. So the developers actually came out and apologized for it. Yeah, it was half a year until Fuyu 1 came out. So for a while, Stray Light was incomplete. You could not play Stray Light properly in, like, Grade Fest, like, at all. So they decided to apologize for that, and it's like, okay, we'll do better. The thing is, they did do better halfway. Like, they did better in that, hey, you could play an entire Nocchill team within a month of their release. But the problem is, you couldn't play a Stray Light 2 team for like half a year, so...
Look, the overarching problem with all of this is that Shiny doesn't seem to be, I'm going to rephrase this so that we don't, go off deep end here. The overall arching problem with this is that Shiny Color doesn't seem to have a proper sense of schedule, where they always seem
it's unorganized.
Yeah, they always seem to be thinking, 1 to 2 months in terms of, releases, story and content, amazing, music, amazing, but planning their game seems to be one of the shortest sighted branches currently with how they've been doing things.
It also doesn't help that everyone that plays Shiny is fearing one thing: TFD and Grad for Nocchill.
Yeah, I mean, TFD and Grad for Nocchill, we're already getting this gigantic list of Nocchill already. What if TFD and Grad show up? And a lot of the reasons why...
Not even if, they will show up.
I mean, if and when they show up, what's going to happen? And I remember expressing my fear that introducing one last Shiny Color in is, let's set aside gameplay. I already had my fears about one last Shiny unit. When you put gameplay into that aspect, we're already like this with Nocchill. What if one more showed up?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's put it this way: once Nocchill gets Grad, Torutu is almost going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. And I think also to help people that aren't super familiar with Shiny, since we obviously have its rarities. So you have Rare, then you have Super Rare, and then whatever people ever decided on what SSR actually stands for. I mean, I've heard a whole bunch of other things. But the point is that in the year, so starting from the actual turn of 2020, we have only seen, 1, 2, 3, we've only seen 4 permanent SRs in the span of 8 months. Everything else has been SSRs or support SRs. And the support SR list is even smaller. It's only 2.
And guess how many of those SSRs have been limited?
More than, right around half, surprisingly. And the only reason that it's close to half is because we got 4 permanent SSR cards right in a row. If it wasn't for Nocchill's release, we would actually have more limiteds in the year than we do permanents. And that's a really weird situation to put yourself in. Especially when you consider that all of your gameplay balance comes from your limiteds now, and for the people that are very interested in the story of cards, especially if you are a DD, or if you at least just like multiple people. Ooh boy.
Yeah, if you really, for those of you who are Shiny or story content, legendary content, I hope you guys have a good source. Because if you're going to get all your sources or all your lists reading scenarios and copies of the game, good luck. It is almost impossible now. I've been doing it for Antica and Antica alone, and I'm having insane trouble. There are people like everyone in China. How the heck are they going to do that now?
Exactly. Because typically for people that are interested in the story, they can take solace when a character is permanent, because it means that they can just pull them eventually. It's a story that isn't lost to them to time. Whereas with limited cards, because of how they choose to decide their rerun or reprint schedules, some character stories are just gone, including some of the most popular character stories as voted by the players. Eureka 3 is a card that we might not see come back, despite the fact that Eureka 3 is arguably one of the best communes in Shiny. So, to give a real-world example of it, it would be like buying a book series, but the next step in the book series you're trying to read is now a limited print. And you think, oh, okay, it's a limited print book, it'll probably come back in a couple months. The book never comes back.
That is the thing I genuinely dislike about Shiny storytelling is the fact that they have to abide by the gacha formula and the fact that, important story bits are hidden behind gacha cards, especially limited gacha cards, where it's like, hey, you want to see how, Rinzig developed as a character? Oh, you didn't get her limited SSR? Well, that's just too bad, and I genuinely really don't like that. I know, some people in this server have talked about the idea of, having main communes to, help circumvent that issue. And, yeah, that'd be great. Another thing I feel like they should at least do is, I know this might not happen because that might be, they might discourage people from, rolling in the game, but you also got to consider competitive could also be a reason. But it could, maybe they could just have it so that you can just work really, really hard to unlock the communes, but not so much the card.
Yeah, the card can be fuck all. I don't really need it. I don't care about playing the game. I just want to read it.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, we have items in the game that allow you to unlock communes, but only for the cards you have. And so, there's a lot of, you can unlock events with them too. But the biggest problem that I have with that system is the fact that if you play the cards, you will unlock the communes. It's never really a question of, oh, I'm never going to be able to unlock them. As long as you play, you'll unlock all of them. So the keys feel really redundant and almost unnecessary. So I don't know why we couldn't see in the future they use the keys as a means to unlock communes for cards you don't have. Because, as mentioned in the chat, there are some incredibly important story bits, especially if you look at Mamimi and her third SSR. There is an entire dynamic about her character that is lost to you as a reader if you never got her limited SSR.
So I don't want to start this off on a very, very sort of negative tangent, but we gotta admit it for what it is. But past that, June and July.
Objective is possible. It's like you say with this podcast, we are as objective as possible. We gotta give the bad.
Yeah, we gotta stay focused. And for the most part, actually, I actually thought that Shiny was going to be, one of the most uneventful branches for the club for the month or for this period. But I'm glad we still had shit to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
It's Shiny for the beginning parts of this whole Anniv thing was actually doing really well because it definitely seemed like the most active. They were very transparent with the audience. They were very much revealing things left and right and up and down and all around. It really felt like Shiny was the first to adapt to this whole new all online, all digital, post-pandemic world.
Yeah, and a couple of changes happened, but hopefully the explanation adds.
Yeah. I mean, again, they were able to introduce an entire new unit during the pandemic, so...
Yeah, they were able to do that. Oh, and I had one thought, too, on the gacha as well, for the uninitiated.
Sure.
Because I had brought it up and forgot to finish it, because, that's the classic with me and my thoughts. But when you pull on the banners, you have an SSR rate of 5%. It's split between the produce and the support. Produce gets, I believe it's typically 2%, supports get 3%. Now, of the pickup rate, it's 1% for permanence. However, whenever they do limited banners, aka all the things that you've been encountering if you've been playing, the pickup rate for limited cards is actually 0.5%. So not only is it that you now have to try to aim for all these limited cards, it is now at least twice as hard to get these cards compared to permanence.
So we'll have to wait and see if because again we've noticed Shiny is we've now finally found one part that they need ironing out.
The game itself.
So before we move on, any last thoughts on what shiny had between June and July?
Oh, hold on. We've got
chat.
I was gonna say chat is popping off, so we have to poll the chat.
You better type quick, boy.
What do you mean? We got all the time in the world. We're not the ones editing this.
Oh my God, Vaxie, I'm so sorry.
Well, you probably should have been apologizing to him like 5 times over throughout this past. Like every single announcement should have been topped off with freaking like. It should have been topped off with a message to Vaxie, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, moving on.
So that's it for Shiny. A lot of more content that I expected to talk about would be June and July because they came up their anniversary. So I was thinking that they wouldn't come up with much. But, props to them for having something to talk about. Now, we're going to move on to our next branch, which I have I'm very, very keen to talk about something about what this branch did for the past 2 months. So, we're going to move over to Cinderella Girls. And,
okay.
Yeah,
so
like something that Cinderella Girls did. And
so for a little bit, like Cinderella Girls, I can probably say is one of the more, doing everything normally as they usually do. In terms of like all the branches, and that like everyone else did like something super special. Granted, not to say that Cinderella Girls didn't do anything special, but compared to all the other branches, Cinderella Girls felt more par for the course. Like it was very stable. Like Starlight Stage was very much doing Starlight Stage things. Mova Mass was doing very Mova Mass things. But I will say, I'm actually impressed with how like Mova Mass was able to like recover. Because, like, previously, like, we had our worries with, like, oh, that Ryamu SR doesn't look very great, or, oh, God, like, what are they doing with Kai? But, Momomass was able to pick itself up with the quality of the cards not really dropping that much. It's just that we're not getting that many at the same time. I mean, when you consider things like, say, Hyaru Miyu, or, like, Ikemen Minami, like, the quality's been up there. It's just that we haven't gotten as much lately.
And that's exactly what they told us, right? They're not focusing away from us. They're just slowing it down. That's the word.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, like, we all interpreted it as freaking, like, oh, Mova Mass is, like, probably going to go the way of the dodo, because, again, like, the content they released right after that statement wasn't looking very good, but at the very least, like, after a couple of weeks or like a month, they showed that no, content distribution, or at least like the quality of the content, isn't really getting worse. It's just there's less of it for now.
Yeah, tube series. Can you change them? Anyway.
Yeah, including us.
I can talk about 3 things about CG, and one of them is something that I'm really am excited for because of how they started it off. So, Starlight Stage original units are back because all they were doing was making units of already existing tropes like freaking Nathan Lazy or Dimension 1 or
I think it was for the past
Glasses.
For the past year and a half, they were just reusing Mova Mass units or just like events like Gekicho.
Yeah, Gekicho units, Momo Mass units. I was like, so some of the more memorable CG songs for Starlight Stage's discography have been with Starlight Stage original units. You got your Yars, you got your Engines, you got your
Tulip.
Yeah, you got Tulip. How dare I not mention them? And basically, while I'm still very much appreciate shout-outs to the fan favorites, some of the best ones are Starlight Stage originals. And I say this as appreciating fan favorite units. And Haruka Tomatsu is really a fan favorite unit, but Starlight Stage original units is exciting because in 2 ways. So one thing is now that people have more voiced idols to work with, especially now that there's a couple more coming along the way, Tsukasa, Akira, and Akari. Damn, those 2 girls' names are really hard to pronounce next to each other.
CG naming schemes!
Yeah. So, CG naming schemes, am I right? Now that they have more voices to work with, it's like they're going to have more creativity with what they got to do now. Because now that they don't have to follow conventions of fan favorite units, and then some already established, duos and trios and whatnot, they can surprise us. And they did that and I'm gonna show you the best example. A recent song by Yukimi, Kozue, Yoshino, and Chieri, Taiyo no Enobaku. And it was everything I could imagine. It was everything I wanted. It was basically a chill song, Chieri, Yoshino, Kozue, Yukimi, they're just doing very, very fun things, very, very nice things.
You popped off at the blueberries.
Yeah, look, Yukimi has blueberries. I'm a very simple person. So, I see blueberries, I go, thank you, this is the best CG song ever.
It's not hard to please. I just put Yukimi in the song and he'll automatically gush about it.
Yeah, so Starlight Stage original units really excite people because it gives people, more avenues to see their favorite girls, more avenues to see original content that they don't have to stick to a certain mold.
It also gives them an opportunity to flesh out the characters in different contexts, because one thing that makes me very hopeful about Starlight Stage original units is, I've been saying this for a while, but I feel like new gen, especially Uzuki, Rin, Mio, they need new dynamics. They need new dynamics with other characters that aren't just of their typing, that aren't just, there's just one other member of Triad Primus. It's if Renn shows up, then now we're Karen have to show up. It's I feel like now is a really good chance for them to just split them off and be able to just give them variety, give them actual new character relations. I'd love for something like that to show up, because one thing that was really nice about Starlight Stage original units was that it gave new relationships. Hell, it was the first avenue to give Mayu a proper character, in that, she's just not, pining for producer and being all yandere anymore. It's no, she's able to act like a normal love-struck girl, and now, she has Karen as a best friend. So I feel Starlight Stage original units could also give a lot more depth. I mean, freaking, it started, how, Aki with Engine and stuff like that. Yeah, My Sweet Honeymoon. My Sweet Honeymoon would not have as much impact as it did if they didn't give Mayu that much depth. So that's what I'm hoping that they do for others, because the only huge disappointment for freaking Starlight Stage original units was that the very first one was just new gen with Haruna and Yui. It's okay, that's neat, I guess, but it's can we just get something different, something new? That's what I'm hoping for with the original units.
Yeah, the reason why original units is so exciting is because it goes hand in hand with something that they recently changed, which was the voting election format. Of the new format, we're going to get more voices, right? So that means we need new ways to come up with avenues for these newly voiced characters to show up. If we just go by fan favorites, which just means that we're going to do, I don't know, another Love Laika song, or something established units.
This guy's implied Love Laika exists.
Yeah, if you just go by fan favorites, these are the ones that are never going to get a chance to shine in the limelight. So,
yeah.
Original Starlight Stage units are great because they go hand in hand with the format. So, maybe, just maybe, unvoiced piece will finally stop being tortured, and they'll get whoever got recently voiced, boom, you're already on the stepping stones to getting your first song, to getting good content, and again, what has been CG's biggest problem from
content distribution.
So there you go. Literally, Yukimi and Kozue, they won last year, and now they got a song. That's all I wanted. Boom, thank you, you did the thing, and you did it correctly. Now 2 more. Go ahead and
do it again, and again. Do it forever.
Yeah, when Tsukasa gets voiced, put her up with Momoka or the other rich girls. When Akira gets voiced, the next techie idols, put her up with maybe Haruna, I guess, or all the other techie idols. When Akari gets voiced, put her up with some cute idols. Come on, that's all you need to do. Just do it again and again and again. And that's it. The second thing that I want to talk about for CG is really good. In their recent song, which is Joker. They caught us off guard by including Romy in the MV and the 2D bridge. Now, for people who don't understand why that catches people off guard, Romy is an unvoiced character, but she is canonically in the unit for the MV of Joker. Sure, she doesn't sing in it because she can't, but Romy is an essential character to the whole plot of Joker and the MV and performance and whatnot. And if you go to the 2D bridge MV of Joker, she shows up and she does something. And she's not singing, but she's doing something. This leads me to think that from now on, even if they can't sing just yet, unvoiced idols will have roles in events, which is awesome because, again, it's another avenue for unvoiced idols to be treated as actual characters instead of templates, which they have been using or have been treated as for the most part. Because it's sort of ingenious. Because just because they can't sing doesn't mean they can't be part of an event. That's pretty hard to explain for people who don't understand the idea of unvoiced girls or unvoiced idols.
So to put it this way, think of it as a sort of really weird segregation, where it's like voiced idols get like one piece of like the content pie, while unvoiced idols get like another piece of the content pie. Where it's like, for example, they had in Starlight Stage they had to make an entire like new event type with I think it's either Carnival or Sushi Road, like either of those two. I think it's Sushi Road, where they had to essentially just like, okay, here's the event where the unvoiced idols are going to get event SRs, because, well, we can't put them in songs because, well, they can't sing. So for a while they segregated them. But the fact that, you know, this whole thing with like Rumi and Joker, you know, just showing up in the MV and the event story just means that, hey, they can actually feel like they're more part of the cast instead of just being segregated to like unvoiced hell until like they get lucky with the elections and it's like, oh, you're voiced, okay, you actually get to be, you know, you get to sit with the cool kids. You know, it's starting to feel less and less like that and feel more like Cinderella Girls as a whole is very unified. It's like, okay, we have our 190, you're part of the 190 even if you know, have no vocal cords. And I feel like they especially emphasize that again with the with the 15th anniversary third PV, where they showed literally everyone. It's like not even just like, you know, the voice idols, like literally every IMAS idol ever just shows up for like a decent amount, and it's like, yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, you're actually acknowledging them. It's like, oh yeah, freaking, I think Emma also shows up in the MV too, like at some point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about which example, but I just like Rumi was really the one that I saw on my timeline. So if I missed anybody, yeah, there you go.
Okay, Emma, Rumi, Midori, and Nene.
But that just shows just how much attention unvoiced girls are now getting, even if they can't sing. And this, along with some people are saying, oh, what if all the attention is going to be given to the unvoiced idols now? And I'm like, no, who is the tier for the recent event? Chieri didn't get it here in 5 years. So they're going in ways that will give attention to the unvoiced while still not leaving out their veterans, which, in my opinion, should have been something that they've been doing for a long time. But
at the very least, giving more focus to the veterans that, you know, needed it, because again, Chieri didn't get an event card in like 5 years pretty much at all in Starlight Stage until now. Sorry, Sachiko. Good lord, Sachiko.
Right, and Sachiko actually came back.
You want to talk about a character that everyone thought just like freaking like died and passed away, and then oh, there she is, she's back in all her glory.
Yeah, when Sachiko came back, so she wasn't cheering the event card, so we're talking about like the tier card, the main card.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Chieri was points.
Yeah, Chieri was points for that one, but you know, all these veterans coming back, unvoiced idols, maybe starting 2020, remember how we said we're gonna change a lot of things about IMAS and kill memes. Maybe CG is now going to treat unvoiced idols like 2020. And like, this might be the repercussions of the thing that happened last year, but whether it is or whether it isn't, it's still a good thing, and I hope they continue it because
unvoiced idols are finally getting their civil rights movement.
After seeing what happened to other big keys, I'm like, come on, really? You can't do this. So that was what's the second thing? Or what was the first thing? Yeah, the first thing that I
That
liked.
was, well, second thing. You said the first thing was Starlit Originals.
Yeah. The third thing that I thought about that CG did well recently. And this is like all confusing one. Jackie Joe has always been Jackie Joe. And remember when we said that they could use Jackie Joe to outlet for the character that we're getting much? Yeah. Look what happened.
You think Emmy Namba's been dead for like 2-3 years, and then she texts you back, "I lived, bitch."
Yeah, she's like she gets solo, and then like I live, and then Yukari does that, Haruka does that. Like, so remember when I said about how many CG platforms there are, and the problem that CG had was trying to give everybody content in one platform. It's not a thing, which is of course you can't do at all. That's a freaking possible.
That's just one game, and 183 at the time, now 190 girls. Forget about it.
Possible. Forget about it. So what they're doing now is what I wanted them to do for the longest time. Not everybody can be a starlight stage, main stage. So what does that mean? Put them somewhere else. Put them some Gekijo.
We got Gekijo. We got seasonal CDs. We got all that stuff. Why not there?
Yeah. And overall, this is something that I really appreciate CG Economic doing, because as someone who no longer has someone to root for, because UKB already won, I want people to also, finally manage to get their girls to be part of the entire thing. Because, I fought for UKB for 5 years, and I don't want people to experience the same thing. And they deserve better. If I fought for UKB for 5 years, but I wasn't spending over. I've seen people who have been spending troves of money to vote for Nando. Look what happened.
I mean, I still have like my potential reason for why Nanami didn't really get the vote, but that's neither here nor there for this topic.
But moving over to the second thing. So CG being CG itself, we collabs. SideM, and there was a lot of hidden lore about SideM collab. It was really fun because for those of you who don't know SideM, there is a ... certain specific placer who is part of SideM that is essential to the entire series. That people were like, oh, well, if this is SideM, that means we're going to have to involve a certain specific woman who is a certain specific idol. And I think I'll let people figure out who she is. But then something else happened directly after the SideM, to which I'm not very sure if it was like a coincidence or if this was the will of SideM, which is ironic. But guess who ended up collaborating next after SideM?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
Well, other than that, I think that's all I have for G. Props to them for finding different platforms and outlets to provide unlit content. Props to them for bringing back Starlight Stage or units. Some of my favorites were units. Made some amazing songs. Engine. Put some up for the Engine in the chat. Put some up for Either Yard. Yeah, I mean...
Masquerade, boys.
Masquerade, you got the Koyo Motomates, for all the 20 plus brand in the chat. Yeah. Starlight Stage were groundbreaking. Glad they're back. So let's listen to this.
No, I think we pretty much covered just about all the major points, aside from that, which, we're going to go over that later.
That's it for us. We're going to go over SideM right now. And
You mean SideM?
SideM. I was going to talk about that, but that if you put that front and center, I'm going to have to talk about it. So, there are 3 very, very talented men named Jiro Yamashita, Michio Hazama, and Rumi Maeda. They are part of the SideM unit, SET, which means Science, English, Mathematics.
probably heard of them. Who knows?
Maybe once or twice. I'm not sure.
Maybe Study Equal Magic sounds familiar to you.
And for whatever reason, they have been running the show for the past, is it 4 or 5 months? If y'all are,
You might as well call them the main trio at this point. Just say dramatic who?
yeah, like, look, every month has had a separate content. Jiro shows up on the most successful Tokyo Hands collab of all time, on its own cult following.
You mean Jiro and his crazy daughters?
Yeah, Jiro and his crazy daughters. So what else happens? Sam gets the most fans ever since the SideM first live showing. It's actually Ruby's birthday today. Now that we're recording this podcast, I'm like, how ironic is that? So
Yes.
yes, it's actually Ruby's birthday today. So happy birthday.
Enjoy.
Alright. So it's very funny because the meme has then shown up that somebody actually made a freaking acronym in the chat regarding current stories, but yeah. Every month has had the most fun SEMCon, and I'm not so sure if people care because SEMCon is always good, and it's not as if like they're being pushed.
No.
They're being favored.
They just happen to show up at once a month. Like, it's not like, every event is Sem. No. It's like they at least give balance to, like, other units. I mean, like, the new event that's going to be happening is, if I remember correctly, Jupiter High Joker. Correct me in chat. But yeah, like, that's happening. So it's not like other units are getting left behind. It's just that Sem has showed up at least once or twice a month.
And if it was a Sem show, that means that the first original episode's CD would have Sem, but the first original episode CDs aren't Sem. So I guess that's the thing. But they have been killing it. They have been like, I'm not quite sure who talking to content. Maybe a Sem is the new director for the content SideM.
I say more math.
Hey, I was gonna record a podcast and send it back. But yeah. Apart from that, one of the best things that we've touched upon into the general section of the podcast. One of the best things that people noticed is that the SideM first live was the live show that had the most views before Nando took it down.
Hell yeah! To give some like context, it did more numbers than the 15th anniv third PV.
I mean, if that's because people have seen that all the time. They see it every end of the video, so they're gonna be seeing it for the rest of the year. But they knew for a fact that since I've gotten feedback from my friends, from people in Discord servers, from Twitter people saying their male fans just couldn't find the time. But now that they have the time, they're gonna take this opportunity to work away and watch SideM first. And now that they got the exposure, they're like, wow, now this is the thing, this is 3.5. So they started spreading the video as well as the video was good. And I guess that's how it ended up as the most viewed live. No, I am not going to say that.
190k views. I'll say it. They are the moment.
Come on. I mean,
validated.
Props to Sam for keeping up the months of content and then going straight into having first live show off their Study Equal Magic performance. Like, I remember when I was watching the Study Equal Magic performance with my mates, my private producer server, and they said, "This is hilariously silly, ... I love it." That was their...
That's the best way to describe that choreography. It is hilarious, it's silly, it's stupid, but it's amazing.
Yeah, that was most of the reactions to it. It was so amazing that my friends, like, one of the best things that I managed to do with SideM live viewing was, I told people who they were. Like, they told me, hey, that guy's Ken Kogadou. You might have known him from his friend. That guy's Yoshiki. He does this. That guy, Jun, I'm getting his name wrong. but he's gonna show up there. Inoki Junior there, Junior. Thank you. He's gonna show up in this anime, and they were surprised to see how many people were inside them that were behind the roles. That was big, especially for someone like Shota. I need to.
Yeah.
People were like, wait, that's, and I'm like, yes, that's Kirito.
Damn, Kirito got bars.
I was playing at the speed like, that's Kirito right there, kind of right. And everyone was such a time. My friends all posting stuff like, just because they're guys, they should watch them or not.
Yes. I feel like that is the most valuable thing to take away from SideM as a branch. It's like, just because it's all males doesn't mean that the appeal and how you can enjoy it is limited.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about SideM recently is what they now have a new version out, which is called, I think I got it right, which is called Original Episodes. Just correct me if I'm wrong. But original episodes is their new stage episode. They give new stage episodes. And from what people have gathered, it's the exact first one of the starting line where they think they're going to end in Jupiter, which is amazing because remember how Jupiter how the release atmosphere they started in Straight Line, and Straight Line's initial challenge. I think the new stage episode. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and go first, or the very last in starting.
Aside from like the newbies with legenders and F-flags.
Yeah, so they were planned to be the very last episode. Like, if our notions are correct, we're going to end it. And that means there might be some really planned out reason why Jupiter is going to last. The song that Jupiter has a special meaning for the stage episode, and the reason why they're going last is they want to thank people for being there, or thank them for joining people or something like that. It's going to be very, very great to think about. More SideM is super great because if you haven't listened to Anniversary CD, I'm sorry, you don't probably know any part in my eyes.
You have not lived until you listen to Moon Knight.
Anniversary CD really is fun, including. So my favorites were, of course, Reid Ewing, because I've been listening. But you guys can listen to that yourself. I'm not going to turn this into a music binge. But Unit CD is going to be on schedule, I believe. I don't think there's any schedule for the stage episode because they already released dates. And it seems like it's just effective enough for the stage episode. So we're going to look at that. Speaking of Jupiter, now I am going to do something that might get our channel in gigantic trouble. It may or may not ruin this channel. It may or may not do something controversial. It may or may not do anything at all if I say what I'm about to say. But I'm sorry. In Japan sales, Jupiter Kogadou and Joker managed to beat BTS.
Yeah!
There we go. Jupiter fighting. So it was really, really funny. I was laughing my ass off when I saw all the recording, like the rankings, and it was like, yeah, people on Twitter went nuts. People on my they posted it on my fan club, and I'm like, I just couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, yeah, my boys. I'm sorry, Jupiter are my boys, and they're better than your boys. I was laughing for an entire street day about how you guys can see it. You guys can do it. It's great stuff. Jupiter will always deliver, and you know they're gonna deliver. They can beat VT in Japan. I mean, I'm sure they can beat anyone.
Jupiter is unstoppable. Psycho supremacy.
Yeah, so look forward to the next episode. Look forward to, I think this should be the Beast Chronicles. The Beast Chronicles is like their sort of, it's like their theater drama like-ish, one of the events. That's the one where Seiji goes Wolverine and, goes ham. But, yeah, Beast Chronicles is getting a CD much like SP like cybernetics or so I think that even if they haven't like in their own way got super extravagant events or super extravagant because of course SideM did like was transmitting relatives happened in that time frame. SideM did great. SideM did great originally, I swear to God. And you know, one of my favorite things when they fix the arts in the SideM in the idolmaster official site, if you go to the idolmaster official site and you get Ritsuko and Rio next to each other in a good direction, Ritsuko and Rio are now pointing towards each other because of their arts, and that's like, man, that wasn't an accident.
Another really.
Oh wait, yeah. This live was replaced by something like. So remember when Billion Live did it with their singing, pretty much cited the exact same thing. And yeah, so it seems like the title of the event was supposed to be the title for the live, but they just did that with Tetsukurumi 39 style. They made it Tetsukurumi Cycle or something. They as opposed to the Billion Live version, where all it was the saves harassing each other for the most part. The 315 version was just talking about, you know, unique charm points, favorite moments, you know, a lot more wholesome, as SideM content tends to be, a lot more wholesome than other branches. So, they even did like remote Brown Star, if I remember. Did they? I think they did remote Brown Star. Was it remote Brown Star or remote Tribal Line? Someone help me out in the chat. Because I know that they did a remote performance or something. I just didn't know if it's Tribal Line or Brown Star together. They did remote Brown Star. So, it's great, you know, when one branch does something good, the other branches do. So, from SideM for June and July, again, if you guys were interested in them after watching first live, go ahead and keep follow. You know, there are a lot of people who are really willing to help you find your best boy, your best boy. A lot of stuff to talk about. But yeah, anything else to sign up for now? Oh, well, appears like one of my co-hosts is apparently having some Discord trouble, which I'm over for now, but due to his request, I can't start a certain branch without him, because he's trying to fix his stuff. So, until then, I get information here. Oh, no, I am not going to Yaha on stream.
Well, you just did, kind of. Yeah, you gotta go all the way.
No. No. I cannot on stream.
Anyway, before this just falls into Hinana stream.
Yeah, so anybody else for SideM? I think I said all. Alright.
Okay, there was one thing I wanted to bring up, and we sort of kind of talked about it, but not really. And that is the small little nod that I think they tried to make with the new promotional image for 15th anniversary in relation to SideM.
Which one? Because there's a lot of nods over there.
So, let me see if I can find the particular image. Okay, here we go.
Is it the one with all of the trios together?
Yes.
AKA everyone's wallpapers?
Yes, everybody's wallpapers. So, as everybody knows with this image, obviously it's really great, and there's a lot of really cool interactions here. But somebody pointed out that there's a very amusing combination of characters next to each other, and it's Tsubasa and Teru. And people joked about it in the sense that they host a radio show together.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, that's funny.
So a lot of people joked about that, but that's the one thing I wanted to fill in with some SideM talk. I mean, we also talk about the first promotional for Idolmaster 15th, where it has Kaoru surrounded by the two Tsubasa,
Yeah, and he has a pair of wings.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. We are currently at an hour and 30 minutes of footage.
Yeah, we're not done. We ain't done.
Oh, we're not, like, okay, so remember how I prefaced the podcast by saying a couple of branches have a little more content than the others? Well, listen, we're at the foot of the mountain.
We're gonna press the button now. It's time to press the button, Renn.
We are at the foot of the mountain. The mountain is built with techniques. The mountain is high and it is tall. And we have to climb this. And we are chupacabra. And we will climb this mountain.
We have climbed this mountain for 7 years!
Wait, we're climbing mountains. We're not a CG idol.
So, Million Live and 765 have a lot to talk about. And remember how I said we're currently at 1 hour and 40 minutes? We're probably going to spend that amount of time with Million Live and 765. But look, first off, I mean, we pre-raced it. We're talking about it. You can't dodge it. Million Live anime has been confirmed. So, it is a milestone. It is a monument. It is like we cannot overstate how life-changing this announcement was for the idolmaster community, not just the Million Live community, for the idolmaster community in general. Because of three things. One, it was the biggest peak of the idolmaster fandom community for
Yes. Like, to put it this way, the jokes about our porn never.
Yeah, there were anime never memes for ever. And it was just insane with how many people were just so... I can't, like, I'm gonna put words here. I'm not gonna put words here. It was just so insane with how many people were just so pessimistic about how it was going to happen. There were so many people who just outright believed that it was impossible. There were so many people who were just, like, almost to the point of denying that it was real when it came out. People thought it was like a fool's joke. People thought that it was, just us messing with people. People thought it was popcorn, making a mistake, or, making a false announcement, and we just release an MV of something and just call it video anime. No, it is real, and we have to deal with the fact that it's real.
The thing is, like, for context, like, for one thing, like, when we were there on the stream and people were just joining in after the announcement and we said ML anime confirmed, people did not believe us. There were people that legit said, guys, it's a joke, shut the fuck up. Like, people genuinely... Yeah, and also, like, to put it in perspective, I mean, when people expected Million Live to be the next anime to have, like, to, happen after CG and SideM happen, SideM anime is great, it's amazing, but Million Live producers just felt a little defeated. It's like, are we ever going to get our anime? And then it felt like, even more of an impossibility where a lot of the staff that could work on the ML anime don't really have the time because, they're all working for A1. Like, at the time where an ML anime people thought was going to happen, they were busy with other projects like Darling in the Franxx and stuff like that.
Freaking trash show. Anyway,
but, like, regardless of quality, even right now, all that staff is still, like, doing other projects, so you really, like, saw... So, like, there's a good reason why, even with the ML anime was announced, they got a completely new studio, they have a completely new staff, like, they completely changed gears, so it's like, even, like, right now, if an ML anime were to happen at A1, that's impossible. Like, it'd probably be impossible because a lot of the people you'd expect to work on an ML anime are working on other projects at the time, and it's like, if we were to, like, rely on A1, then we'd probably, still be on the waiting room. Like, we'd still be on the cutting room floor thinking, twiddling our thumbs, all right, when's it going to happen? It's going to happen. Please, when's it going to happen? And then it just suddenly happened on a completely new studio in a completely new direction.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was going to say is a groundbreaking anime announcement. One was, the whole thing that we weren't expecting that was going to happen.
It exists.
It exists. Two, it is not an A1 Productions product. Like, it is not done by A1. It is in 3D, and I may make some mistakes here. I think it was, so the animation studio that's been handling the live anime is someone like Waraou, I'm not quite sure. And I gotta get the name right here. Just correct me in chat if I got it wrong. But I believe that they did 3D or something like a Doraemon movie, and other.
Yeah. They've done Doraemon. I think that same studio has also done Aikatsu.
No, I remember recalling it and seeing that the guy who wrote Aikatsu is...
Okay.
Alright. The animators of Aikatsu. They're Shirokui. The staff of Aikatsu. But the animators of the Doraemon Standby movie and then Mama, which I have done some snooping around and everyone said was high quality. So I don't think we need to worry about that. Something great about the staff that was revealed was, so the main story writer for the anime is the guy who works on Aikatsu. The director works for Love Live Gundam Build, apparently. But what's great is one of the staff members' wife is a music live lyricist, which is awesome because if there's any staff member from Midland that I'd like to have as someone for an anime, it is the lyricist, because we have said time and time again that one of the things that these little anime need, and especially as an anime connection, it is the connection to their song. So if we have something like that back in the anime, I don't think we need to go too much of how they're going to handle it, or faithful to the source material, or if they're going to be a reliable story, and all things aside about anxiousness or nervousness, expectations, whatever. We have it. We have it.
It's real.
Like, what else are we going to talk about?
What is 2020?
Right. It's left.
For 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it was so unlikely. It was so mentally breaking. And it was done on such a unassuming screen.
Yeah, it's like those kind of stream. It was just like TD anniversary stream, and it's like, oh, we're probably gonna expect new features for the game, like major new features. And granted, we did get that with the new photo mode that's coming out for the game, which looks really nice. Thank God they're doing a G4U equivalent. But then it's nobody in that stream was really expecting them to do anime. It's like we all got our hopes up with photo mode, and then we got our hopes up even further with MTG2 events, and then we were and I was over here placing bets okay, they're probably, what's next? They're gonna do Dearly Stars and freaking Twin Stage, and then anime comes out. It's oh god.
Was the screen blacked out, and then the road shows up. It's wait, what are we looking at? Then we saw Tsubasa's screen. Wait. And then
I legit was thinking it was going to be another MV like they usually do for anniversaries, because they did one for Suteki no Kiseki in that style before, and I'm oh, it's probably another one of that. And then
people were actually really going back to that Suteki no Kiseki MV because it looks exactly like the slide of the anime. Only a little less polished, because of course it was 3 years ago. But now that sets a precedent for whatever that Suteki no Kiseki MV is like. What if that Suteki no Kiseki MV is an actual scene from the anime that they sort of weren't clear upon why they were going to show it at that screen? But
it was probably I feel like they probably did it as a pilot, as a pitch to basically show, if we were to do a Million Live anime, this is what it would look like.
And what if that's going to show up in the anime? And what if that's going to be their form of too rich in the game? I mean, it's not too rich, but it's really sure. But again, I don't want to make the entire live section about the anime, but that's how.
Will you believe me if I said that that's not the only big announcement that Million Live had?
Yeah, because
yeah. Now, before we step into that, though, I have a question to pose to both you and everybody that's watching. What would you hope for the Million Live anime? Would you want to see an original story? Would you like to see an adaptation of something? Or somewhere in between?
I would honestly rather an original story because as much as everyone says, oh, just freaking like copy-paste Geshan, me personally, I feel like that'd probably be a little boring and predictable because then it's like, oh, you're just making an adaptation of the manga. Oh, big whoop. It's like, that's cool, like, Geshan's great, but Geshan is Geshan. Like, let it be its own thing. I feel like Million Live anime would be strongest if it was its own thing. Have elements from Geshan, like, have some things that, you know, Geshan introduced or, like, make references to it because Geshan is such a beloved piece of work for Million Live. It'd be nonsense not to reference it. But, you know, like, I would honestly prefer an original story like all the other anime have done. Like, an original story with elements from the actual, like, games and other adaptations.
I think that's the best way to do it because that's how Animas did it. Because Animas took elements from the game.
Mainly two.
IMS 2. But it wasn't a copy and paste scenario of IMS 2 because, you know, in IMS 2, none of the whole Jupiter start thing happens, none of the whole Yakusoku thing happens. And, you know, anime originals like Yakusoku are some of the most memorable parts of idolmaster anime ever. Like, Gomen.
Or just IMS in period.
Yeah, CG had Gomen, and Gomen is one of the most famous, you know, Gomen and Magic and whatnot. Yeah. So, I do expect that they will take some things from real, or that theater events, or like, you know, any of the thing like that.
There is absolutely going to be an Idol Heroes PV in the middle of it, for sure.
It's probably going to be like 8 Idol Heroes references, like, in the song. Like, not true.
Now,
that's a year ago episode.
What if episode 1, rather than starting at the theater, what if it starts near the end of Movie Moss?
So again, this is why,
it could be like a 10-second cut, but it's just like to try to tie it back to the movie of like, whoa,
if they want continuity, that would be dope.
No, because there's a perfect way to do this. And listen, if they do this, I have already no more fear for the anime. If they do this one thing, still let it. So, if everyone here watched the SideM anime, SideM anime has what is called episode 0, which is
yes, oh my god, I know where you're taking this.
So in episode of Jupiter, it shows the continuation of when Jupiter interacted with Haruka in moving this, and what happens to Jupiter afterwards. So it shows Jupiter saying, guys, we're no longer relying on we're on our own.
We're on our own. What are we going to do? And for a while, they get comfortable with it, but then they realize that our super small indie venue isn't going to be good enough because, you know, we have fans that are here to support us, but they can't watch our lives. What do? Oh, Psycho Pro? Oh, we're going to make them the best in the business. Let's go.
So what happened in episode 4 basically shows the connection of what happened before, during, and after the formation of Psycho Pro. There is an easy way for 765 Productions to do exactly that, and this is found in the Leader drama. Now, the drama scene for Leader, which is the MPG song for 765 All-Stars, is basically the drama track for Leader, and mild spoilers for anyone who hadn't read or watched it or listened to it. So, some of the lore behind the line, which I hope they sort of take behind, is that the Million Stars are sort of passion project for 765 All-Stars, where they felt like they've now done what they want to achieve as a top idol. You know, Miki's a Hollywood star, Chihaya's a really great singer, and all that good stuff. But they feel like they want to do more as idol. They want to inspire more people. So what they do is they make a passion project. And in the Leader drama, we see exactly how decide to say, we need a building. We need something that we can use as like an office for these new girls that we're going to train. We need a new venue. And she thought of a theater. And completing the drama basically shows the 75 all stars constructing this theater with the million stars in mind, so that they have a place to train, they have a place to practice, and they have a place to perform. Now, what is the most actual touching way that they can use this is by tying that again to an episode of Jupiter. Because the best part of the comedy drama, if you ask me, is at the very end of the comedy drama, Haruka looks at the theater and says something to the effect of, I want this place to be a place people's dreams can come true. Now, the best part about that phrase is, that's not her line. The original person who said that line is one Mr. Toma Amagase. He says the exact same line in episode 2. Do that, and I immediately have no more fears for the enemy. Done. That's all they need to do. That's literally all they need to do. And once they do that, I'm like, Million Live Anime is a success.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, like if they do that, I'm so that's my answer for the adaptation. That's all I need. After that, it can be original stories. It can be like whatever they want for the anime, whatever they want as original content. Just do it. I'm good.
It could be super funny slice of life.
Yes.
So
Like because I remember it's not for like Aikatsu is like a lot more funnier. You know, it's a lot more laid back.
they have conflicts.
Well, as compared to as compared to other series, I guess. Maybe I am wrong with that, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and the way they say that Aikatsu director. There we go. So there is a certain series of Aikatsu that's not fun, but every other series is pretty fun, I guess. So, yeah.
So anyway, Million Live Anime is not the only big thing that we've gotten. So, for many, many years, for I want to say about 7-9 years, the universes have been separated for very long, and there have been fables of a tale where the universes will one day collide and everything will change in the way that we least expected it. And for a while, we thought that whoever was telling the story was a madman, that whoever was saying this was an absolute, heathen. Like, how could you dare say that, hey, the universes will one day collide? No, that's never going to happen. They have to stay separate in order to keep the natural order. And then, on the fated day of July 29th, 2020, where is it, July 20? I don't know, I can't count. July 27th, calendars, am I right? On that fated day, we have gotten the announcement that the universes are colliding, that everything is coming together. The multiverse is dead. The crisis on infinite Earths of the IMAS universe has happened. There is no more universe. We are all one. Ladies and gentlemen, Starlight Stage is having a collaboration with Theater Days.
That was what I was going to allude to when I talked about what happened next after Steins game. And so people are saying that it happened first with Student Season, but that was a project devoted to it. We didn't think that the games themselves would sooner or later cross paths. And this sets, remember how I said how the ML anime sort of sets precedent for the future? Because if ML anime can exist, then also Shiny Colors anime can exist. This Data Mini collab is precedent for other things within the Bandai Namco idolmaster community of games. Saying, if Data Mini can exist, that means Shiny Psycho can exist, or Shiny Mini, or Data Shiny, or, anything along those combinations. Because it makes sense for Data Mini to be sort of like the ones that they did first, because they're the more for franchises for the most part for now. But
yeah, and the fact that the legacy has been that Dennermas and Millimas have been compared for years.
And if this succeeds, which it will, pretty damn sure it will.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if this succeeds, this shows, hey, do this more. Yeah.
Everyone is expecting them to do this same thing, but between SideM and Shiny, and I can see it because I have said for a long time, and so far to this day, nobody has argued or debated me against this because they know I'm right. Shiny Moss is just side M, but girls.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
I have said that also. Like my shared years have been fine. But going back to the Million Live collab, Starlit stage, we don't know anything about it yet. All that we know is that it's going to happen in winter of 2021. Is it? I don't know what Japan is for.
Winter 2020. They said this winter.
So
At some point in the next few months, like probably like next 2 or 3 months.
wow, that's a lot closer than I expected. But we don't have any details. People have been speculating left and right. But
the most likely scenario is probably going to be, at least I can vouch for the Million Live side, it is almost 75-80% sure that in Theater Days is going to be a twin stage with CG idols.
Twin stage, and then Dippy for CG, literally just have room items, like how they always do it.
Room item, like cover songs, it's like, that's cool. I kind of want them to do more in the Daisuke side, because this is such a big, having a collab with Theater Days is a bigger deal than having a collab with Steins Gate and Digimon. You cannot change my mind.
Which, ironically enough, are manga titles. So,
Digimon is.
Yeah, Digimon is. It's like, the whole idea that this was even going to happen already changed the landscape. Like, I was watching Pixib, Twitter, other fan sites. Like, it has happened before, but not in the amount after following the announcement. Because after following the announcement, everyone was saying, I want this to happen in a minute. I want that to happen in a minute. And then, you got the now, the Karen, and everything.
So many people were making their own fan interactions, like fan-made units. Like, that, people were already doing that. That exploded after Dead Emily was announced to be a thing.
And again, it was great because it sets the precedent that idolmaster games can interact with each other, not just in real life, because idolmaster already interacted with each other in real life, like Master Squad, Fast, all that stuff. But now the games are doing it too. So
yes, this is the wall that I wanted broken down for 6-7 years now, and it's like Starlit was the start, but I feel like this especially just emphasizes that it's like, even though they're different branches, it's all still idolmasters, so we're all still one big happy family.
We're gonna find out how they're gonna integrate them in the next few months. I have my expectations set low because I'm already happy with the fact that it's happening in the first place.
Honestly, like let's put it this way: if Twin Stage was just new gen, I'll be happy. I do not like new generations, but if Twin Stage is new generations, I'll take it, because you know what that means? That means they'll be playable in Million Live, and ooh boy!
There were a couple of people who were like, just give me Uzuki and TD and I'm good. Like, that's all they said.
Yes, dude, Uzuki's gonna be on my team. Like, my team is going to have, all my teams are gonna have Uzuki in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, Chupacabra Renn!
Look forward to that. We're going to be all over it as soon as it comes out. But get hyped because, again, I can't stress this enough. If it happens for Dead Emily, it can happen for any of the other branches too. And I guess that we're just looking forward to what's going to happen right now.
You know what? This also validates me personally, because I have said, ever since the concept of Twin Stage was done, I have said, give me Jupiter. Give me a twin stage against Jupiter doing, I don't know, Alice or Guilty or Brand New Field, whatever. And people would usually either say, that'd be cool, but that's probably not going to happen, or you're fucking crazy, SideM, all that stuff. Like, they already have live on stage, not going to do that. Now that we have this, that can happen. It's possible. I feel validated. It's like I was right this whole time.
2020 is the year of breaking barriers. This has been. But apart from the Dead Emily collab, there are a couple of lesser, I don't like exactly like lesser, but sort of like more like people might have forgotten about these announcements right now. So Million Live was something called 765 Digital, where people are going to be able to vote for a setlist at the Million Live Digital. And what's great, the website allows you to customize certain setlist. What like this is the song you want to open up with. This is the song.
Make your own life.
Yeah, you make your own life. What do you want to open up with? What do you want as the hype song? What do you want as the song to give you a break and feel solid for it? And then finish it off with this song. Like it's like make your own life. And what's this? It really sets it apart from the other events because again, the impact of not having live events hurts the live events because the live is one of the random live events the most because that's where the heart and soul of the live is. I've said live like 8 times in that past sentence. And having such a theater is a great way to sort of fill in that point, but not really, but it's better than nothing, right? So I'm glad that they're having this really good digital way of enjoying what considered as the heart and soul of their life, while at the same time, not putting the same elements, not putting the performance at concert stages and staff and this. And I'm just expecting Digital Theater to be something like an MV, Ewing, whatever. But even if it's just that, I'm totally here.
The biggest thing that and you brought this up to me, like when this was announced, you brought this up to me, was that one of the options for the opening song is Welcome. Now, for anyone that does not know why that is such a big deal, the last time Welcome was performed in any live was, I think, second or third live? Third.
It has never been performed since third.
So it's been like, so it's been like 3-4 years since it's been performed live.
Yeah, the last time was at Bandai Namco Fest, but that's more of like a Bandai Namco event more than an iDOLmaster event. So
Yeah.
Digital Theater is something that exists. I feel like we're missing something, but I was going to talk about something else.
Photo mode?
Yeah, photo mode, G4U. We don't have any news about that just yet, but G4U.
Yeah, aside from G4U coming back as like a feature, which is like that's a good way of bringing that back without relying on like having to make a PS4 game.
Yeah. We also have Platinum Star 2, which is a great way to bring back some of the more beloved within theater generation units. And we're currently about to wrap up the one for Born on Dream Hanabi Night, and if I gotta say anything, with how many kerfuffles and hiccups the live has had with its game management, this event is great. I mean, this event is properly released. There hasn't been much trouble so far. It's got a really nice mini game that people are actually taking more seriously than the event itself. You know for a fact they're e-sporting that mini game. I think like the highest score so far, like 209.
How many of those brave souls scored with Noriko?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Umi top tier. I'm sorry. Umi top tier. It's like the whole thing where they borrow the thing from like Preconnect, where Preconnect has like mini games along with their events. Like we've said it multiple before. Yeah, and for a Noriko event, the tiers are actually pretty high in comparison right now. Like,
I mean, granted, part of that could also be just the excitement of new event type.
Yeah, new event type. Like they say, I want to tier the first Platinum Star 2, but when people think of Noriko, they're like, okay, that event, 100K. Oh man, it's like what's this? And it's just like the way they made the event is super flavorful. It really rewards people for liking the MTG event units. So if Born on Dream is this good, if Born on Dream is this well thought out and it looks this well, and it's doing well in terms of like people playing it, player count, tiers and whatnot, Twitter feedback and whatnot, you can expect a lot more stuff from the top of it. It's like more luxury, freaking escape. You've got Miki Hoshii coming up with Everlasting. I dare not even imagine what the Platinum Star 2 event is going to be for a unit like freaking Seal. And people are like, when they announced Platinum Star 2, the whole reason why people were so hyped for Platinum Star 2 was because of Seal, just because of Shizuka and freaking Julia. Now, I don't understand why they decided to do this. Maybe there might be a sort of like problem currently going on with content distribution because of the pandemic, so they decided to use Platinum Star 2 as a way to pad out content for a bit. because Lord knows that CG did the same thing with the padding out the content thing. Sort of, kind of, with their seasonal master album, where for the entirety of 2017, the only Starlight stage events that sort of existed that padded out the content was seasonal albums with your Haruka runs, your Halloween codes and whatnot. But yeah, as for chat, it said this honestly doesn't feel like them needing to save on time and resources, because they got new stuff like mini games. The comedies are still voiced.
If anything, I can also say that the mini games that also gives more justification to the Game Center feature.
Yeah, because the Game Center has actually been pretty underutilized recently, ever since the triple copper volleyball thing died. But
yeah, it's usually just essentially like, oh, this is where you can replay all the April Fool's events, and that's it.
And mini games was like the center of Greenmass before, because Greenmass had a lot of mini games. When the hell is Reika Run? Go, because Reika Run was my favorite mini game. So again, if this is already how well received Platinum Star 2 will be, for non-dream, which is admittedly mid-tier in terms of popularity. Imagine for luxury. Imagine episodes.
Oh god, the red soda event.
Yeah, Star Elements. Imagine things like Pico Invader with Anna in it. Like if Anna is the tier result for Pico Invader, I'm not gonna. Nope, I agree.
No. I ain't touched that.
Nope. But yeah, Platinum Star 2. Other than that, man, I mean, there was a whole thing about Glow Map, which I really want to talk about, but I feel like it's like we would have devoted an entire other podcast to like Glow Map and third anniversary. The whole thing about
also in terms of third anniv, I sorry to cut you off. I actually do want to say something. Honestly, like even though the third anniv, am I breaking up?
No, you're good.
Okay, I'm good. All right. So third anniv, like even though the event itself was hell, I honestly do want to give shout outs to like how leveling up all the SRs and like raring the SRs, like it's like people gave that shit because it's like, oh, I can't do it all in like 2 months. It's like this was meant to be done gradually within the year, and even then, they give you those training points for playing the game. Just play the game.
Yeah, all you have to do is play the game. One of the reasons why people didn't like the previous anniversary missions was you had to scroll through menus. Like, you had to scroll through menus. You had to go through like different parts of like the game. You had to like utilize features that otherwise were like kind of useless to you. Here, it's just you play the game, you get some points. If you want to actually get it faster, then you do those missions, and even then, those missions are not easy. Yeah, just play. I mean, you can just like forget missions ever exist, and then come back 3 months later. Oh, look, you're done.
Freaking! I was playing the Parade de Amor event, and I was just getting like racks on racks of training points, and it's like, yeah, as long as you like play the game and you participate in events, like if you play the game normally, then you're fine, because like a problem with like first and second anniv was that you essentially had to like find time off of like playing events and playing like the actual like game's loop in order to like get out of your way and just like level up these cards. But now they're a part of the loop.
Yeah, all you gotta do is play. Like literally forget about it. Come back to it after a couple months. You're done.
Exactly. So I feel like they should probably do that a lot more often. Again, the only reason why people complain about it at first is because, oh, I can't cheese it. I can't do it in like 2 months. It's so stupid. It's so grindy. But again, it's like, just play the game. Like, the people that are complaining about that honestly probably don't even play the game except for this. So,
I mean, I tier 1 Parade de Amor without those jewels. What's their excuse?
I wish I could tier 1 that, but my hand.
Koda Happy's in the chat. I see you. Come on. I know you're on that, Koda Happy. Anyway, yeah, I think that wraps it up for Real Life, unless there's something we forgot, because I'm pretty damn sure it was Real Life was the one we're talking about the most, for sure.
Yeah.
Unless I forgot something, but unless we have...
There's a lot.
There was like a lot. Unless we haven't, we're going to wrap up the podcast with the final branch, and, the one closest, nearest to my heart, the All-Stars. And it's there's not much to talk about the All-Stars here, but quality...
There is, but there isn't.
A lot, like quality versus quantity here, with what we need to talk about. Concerning the
Yeah.
All-Stars.
So first things first, I do actually want to bring this up because this is kind of important, and I feel like for some people this is like going to be lost on them because not everyone watched the stream. We did actually get an important update on Starlit season. So for anyone that did not watch the 15th anniversary stream or did not get the rundown, basically Gami P, he broke the silence. He came on stream and he said that Starlit season is still coming out. We didn't cancel it. Like, the game is still going on. But because of, like, the state of the world, you know, all that, we're going to have to delay, like, news and reveals for it. And that's it. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Because the problem that I had wasn't so much that, you know, Starlit news was being, like, delayed or anything. Like, I didn't mind that. I did mind the radio silence. Like, the radio silence was genuinely making me concerned and upset. Because it's like, okay, we can assume that they're delaying this stuff because of COVID, but we don't actually know. Like, who knows, like, for what reason that this whole thing could just, like, be happening. Like, it could be for, like, any number of reasons. So the fact that Gami P came out and he said there's not going to be announcements for a while, that was a huge sigh of relief because, like, every other stream, it's like, yo, we're Starlit. Yo, we're Starlit. It's like, come on, like, we're Starlit. Now that we have that reassurance that it's, like, it's not happening for a while, please be patient. Bear with us, you know, this whole COVID situation has our schedules out of whack, so we're just going to tell you that don't expect any news for a while, and we'll let you know, like, when we have something to show. And that's fine. I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait till next year at this point.
Because, like, the way they did it for their other games, like Tales of Arise, which was supposed to be their flagship game for this year, even they went out and said, I'm sorry, we're going to have to wait for that. Even other companies, like Guilty Gear Strive, they're going to say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait for that. So that's all we need. Like,
yeah, freaking, I remember, like, this is a completely unrelated series, but, like, the freaking, like, official Sonic social media, it's like we were going to show something off at, like, South by Southwest in March, but that got canceled, and because of the state of the world, we feel like we're not ready to show off anything, so please bear with us. Wait for an official announcement later in the year. That's all people need, really.
Yeah, like, even GBF with Relay, they said, like, we don't have a date. Like, all we need is saying for start of season, like,
transparency.
Because of course I'm going to buy it. I just need to know that, you know, if you guys are really saying it's delayed or what are your plans. So I'm willing to wait, but you guys need to say it. You can say it.
Yeah. Just let me know. It's like, I'm going to be waiting a while, and it's like, está bien. All right, I'm willing to tamper my expectations and just focus on other things.
I mean, as an idolmaster fan anyway, there's a lot to look forward to while waiting. I mean, freaking Dead Amelie is going to happen anyway, so...
Yeah. my winter's going to be busy with that and whatever the heck, like, other games like Street Fighter V are going to have. So it's like, I'm busy.
Yeah, we got stuff to do anyway, and we're all inside anyway. It's not like we're going to be super busy when it does come out. So, like, that's for the speaking of start of season. But what I was going to get to concerning the All-Stars is, so again, this is probably going to fly over a lot of people's heads, or not a lot of people are going to get this or understand this. But one of the things that a lot of people appreciated, and this is actually people who were like there since day one, who have been following the All-Stars since freaking Arcade West days, you know, the ancients, those people. What they really appreciated was the revival of idolmaster radio, which is, like, again, it's not something that a lot of people like. It's not something that a lot of people understand. What idolmaster radio was just, it's Harami, New, and Azumi talking on a radio. Radio shows were a thing back then, guys. Back before your Spotify's, before your Netflix's, before your Instagrams, or whatever that stuff was. All we had was radio. You tune into a station, you listen to it, and just have fun talking about whatever they're talking about. And that's exactly what idolmaster radio was also as well. You got the voice actor for Hibiki, the voice actor for Takane, the voice actor for Yukio. It was fun stuff. And when I listened to idolmaster radio, I felt like I was back home. Like, I felt like I was back in 2010, listening to IMAX Station, listening to Harami talk about original songs, listening to Yukiko and listening to Azumi and her really, really dumb impressions. Like, this was a treat for All-Stars Queens and All-Stars Queens. And I feel like that's something that needed to happen. Because one of the things that I was really, really afraid of was the reaction to All-Stars Queens to the whole 15th act. Because, and I'm not going to throw them under a bus. I'm I'm not going to like call them out for thinking this way, but I'm also want to make people aware of something that might not have been something that they would know about. There is a small amount of people within the All Stars fan base don't want Idolmaster to change. They want it to be as secretive as possible. They want to keep it to themselves as much as possible. They want it to be what they thought Idolmaster has to be for the longest time. They wanted to say.
I also know plenty of people that, aren't very satisfied with the notion of, like, having multiple branches, like, aren't very satisfied with, adding a bunch of idols with, CG, adding, like, more to Namoko with ML, SideM, Shiny, like, all that. Like, there are people that genuinely I just want Namoko AS, like, only Namoko AS, and nothing else.
Like, again, this is not to call them out. They can like what they like. We still have to show some appreciation to them because they're
honestly, as long as they're not dicks, you're fine for thinking that.
Yeah, because like they're the guys who laid out the foundation, the blocks for us to walk on, and we can't diss them for thinking because they probably think that way because of some reasons that we can't understand. But it was a great way to show that even if Idolmaster is changing, even if Idolmaster is evolving with all these new branches, all this new technology, all this new these new games, these new platforms, these new songs, these new characters that they've probably never used. Yeah, like what the heck is YouTube? Like I don't even YouTube. We had flip phones, and like I was playing our
game. Yeah, Nico Noga. The fuck?
Yeah, what the heck is a YouTube? Anyway, yeah, it's great that even after all of this stuff, they decided to have All-Star Weekend to provide something for the way the old timers liked it, the way they know Idolmaster to be. Like it's like a nice reflection of even after 15 years, even after having all these new platforms and all this new content, Idolmaster is still Idolmaster, and we're going to return to our roots every now and then, which is exactly what All-Star Weekend did. And what the All-Stars is currently managing to do with Master Artist War, which has been phenomenally successful. In fact, it sold out on Columbia's record stops day one, which is, of course, that means a lot of money for them. The songs are great. Yayoi is great. Haruka is great. Takane's is great. They interviewed the All-Stars a lot and say, like, when you read the interviews that the All-Stars had concerning the Famitsu articles, when they were asked, what did you think about Idolmaster 15th anniversary? There are two things. There are two things that are prominently there within the interviews that you'll see from Eriko, Bingosu. Harami currently has an interview as well. They said two things. One, they never expected Idolmaster to last 15. In heck, they didn't even expect Idolmaster to last 10 years. And two, they're happy that Idolmaster is still Idolmaster. And I think that just speaks to the reason why a lot of All-Star veterans are still here after 15 years, because 15 years is a very, very long time.
More things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, because something that people have to realize is that for a series to last 15 years, a lot of things have to go right. And I'm not going to sugarcoat Idolmaster at all. A lot of things have went wrong with Idolmaster. But, like, you've had your Macross Frontiers. You've had a lot of other series that have been considered legends, but are no longer around.
They're not really active.
They're not really active. They're not really, like, there. They're still legendary. They still have the status. But the content production is just not there anymore. Meanwhile, here we have the All-Stars. They're still in theater days. They're still making Master Artist Award. They're still showing up to events like the anniversary party. And I think that speaks volumes as to how much the people matter for keeping
it's so powerful considering that, around like 2016, 2017, a lot of people felt that, that was it. Like All-Stars is pretty much going to be retired. Like they're just going to be they're just going to be relegated to like Theater Days cameos and nothing but. But the fact that, we have stuff like All-Star Weekend, we have stuff like 15th Anniversary, we have stuff like, to a lesser extent, Starlit Season, like we have stuff like that where it's like, even with the changing times, we still have things of Idolmaster that are very like close to being like the same. Like, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I was shocked to know that Starlit Season even exists at all, because I thought that, Stella's Stage didn't do too well. It did horribly in terms of sales, and I'm like, okay, they're probably not going to do any more console games. They're probably just going to retire that boat. They're just going to stick to mobile games, because that form of revenue is honestly a lot more consistent. But the fact that they're still making console games despite the ever-changing environment, it honestly just has wonders.
Yeah, and that just shows the longevity of the All-Stars that they're here to stay, and they're not going anywhere. That's the first topic that I wanted to talk about, the All-Stars. I'm sorry for getting a little sentimental about it, and I'm going to do something about that. Nando.
Hey, where were you when you realized that Miki Hoshii is able to overtake every VTuber ever?
So, over the course of the All-Stars announcements, one day, we just had this very, very random, unassuming, sort of very, very out of nowhere announcement. And all the announcement said was, hey guys, go to showroom at this time slot, Miki's gonna be there. Literally nothing else. The announcement didn't even say how long the stream was gonna be, what she's gonna do, what she's, what's it even about, why it's gonna happen. And then the thing literally just had a date, a showroom link, and Miki's face on it. And everyone was like, oh, I guess this is like MR stage, I guess, because Miki had an MR stage scheduled event, but got canceled due to the pandemic. So everyone's like, okay, this is just the replacement for MR stage. And people knew that MR stage was a paid thing, a paid costume thing. So they just assumed that the stream was going to be for paid subscribers only, or premium members of showroom, or VIP members of showroom. And they just thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to watch that. And so they just wrote it off of their memory. Fast forward to the day itself, and I'll tell you my experience with After TV. Now, I watch a couple of streamers, and the average streaming, for you to be considered a good stream, is around 20,000 viewers. 20,000. That's your good number.
If you want to be top dog.
Yeah, if you're super top dog fighting game streamer, you're 30 to 40,000. Or your usual MOBA arena, your League of Legends, your Dota 2s, you can drag it 50,000. That's constant pro level.
That's the dream.
So I wake up and I remember, oh wait, the whole showroom thing is happening. I'm pretty sure nothing's happening. And then I open showroom. I go, wait a minute, it's letting me in. I didn't need to pay. So I walk in, I open showroom, and I look at the view count. And it says there's 74,000 people watching. I'm like, where did these people come from?
What happened?
What did you hear?
Did Miki say a naughty word?
So I'm there. I'm watching the show. I'm like, there's 74,000 people here. The number is actually going up. And all I see is Miki talking to me on the screen. She's not doing anything special. She's just saying Miki things. I assumed that there was going to be something like a performance, which of course there was at the end of the video, which is where she performed in the future. But all she was doing was just doing Miki things. She was just talking about things she likes for fun. She was just talking about, Miki, I like this. Miki, I like that. Hey, producer, can you do this? Or would it be cute if I do this? Is my hair nice? She just did classic 14-year-old idol things. And then the numbers just went going up. Paid gifts rolled in. There was so much onigiri. Because for people who don't know,
everywhere.
For people who don't know, you can send paid gifts.
Miki says honey and the stock market crashes.
You can send paid gifts in short. And the paid gifts in short have tiers. And I don't know why they're like this, but the tiers in showroom are characterized by so the lowest tier that you can give is 100 yen, which is symbolized by an onigiri. I don't know if that's coincidence or if this was some weird ass marketing ploy that Banco did.
Probably coincidence.
So you can send onigiri and then 1,000 yen is like a sandwich or something. 10,000 yen is like a cake. 100,000 yen is like a castle. I'm not quite sure castle is the last one. Yeah, so I was watching, and the paid gifts never stopped, and the viewers kept going and going and going and going.
It got to a point where
So,
Miki had
yeah.
more viewers than all members of AKB48 combined that were streaming at around that same time.
Exactly, because Miki ended the streak with 94,000 viewers. 94,000.
So that is 2 times these past few months where 2D idols have outlasted 3D.
Yep. And I want you to look at the idolmaster channel right now. And apart from the live videos, within only 3 days, Miki's archive has already reached the number of views that the lives took. Sorry, within only 6 days, the lives were up for an entire week and a half. Miki got to the numbers that the live did in 6 days. GG easy. Like, it didn't take much for Miki to do the same thing by herself.
So now the speculation is, Jesus Christ, 169,000 viewers and counting. What the hell?
Yep, in only a fraction of the time that the live stuff to do it. So, I guess, like, you know the meme that Miki is the solution to all problems, or to bring out Miki memes? Yeah, they brought out Miki. That's exactly what Palmco did. They brought out Miki.
So now the speculation is, well, they're probably going to do this again with other all-stars. Like, people are expecting this for, like, you know, the twins, at least the twins. Good lord.
They were expecting it for Haruka and Azusa because Miki said in the show stream that Haruka and Azusa were supposed to be part of her show, but they're cancelled as well, which is what happened.
Yeah, so people are expecting them to do something like this more often, and eventually, there are some people that are speculating that Bamco is eventually just going to do IMAS VTubers.
Because, dude, I mean,
the money's right there!
I saw someone said that with the rate of money that was being sent through Miki to pay gifts, they easily made more than 1 million yen in that one.
This shit works! Yeah. Like, it is a proven formula now.
Yeah, and 35 minutes, like, what do they need to do? What do they need for this? Like,
bring out Miki. That's it.
What they might have needed to do was, hey, Akiko Hasegawa-san, I need you to put on this mocap too, and pretend to be Miki for 35 minutes. We know it's not much, but please, just do it. Thank you.
And that's the years.
After 35 minutes, we got, the numbers speak for themselves. Higher viewers than all
the numbers don't lie! Yeah.
Higher numbers than AKB48 combined. Over 1 million in paid gifts. And the highest view count currently, in terms of like how viewed it was in the past few days on the iDOLM channel. I mean, the meme is that Miki is perfect, but I don't think it's that much of a meme anymore, considering what she just did. So, I'm not saying there's a confirmation that this means that more showrooms are gonna show up. But Palmco would be stupid to not do this for. It's literally free money. Like, at the very least, do this like once a month. Yeah, once a month or like once every 2 months, maybe. Yeah. Just so that the all-stars don't wear themselves out. Yeah. So like once every 2 months, just bring one over, just like do the little mocap, get all that stuff, and easy money. There you go. Yeah, right then and there, they have the numbers. So we can only expect that to happen more moving forward. Well, other than that, and the Master Artist 4 albums, there wasn't much to the All Stars. This much, but again, I said quality over quantity. I can't believe you are forgetting the absolute legend that is Reid Ewing. I'm sorry? I can't believe you are forgetting the legend that is Reid Ewing. Fine, you go talk about it. Okay, so hoping my audio doesn't cut out. So, apparently, we have someone in Hollywood that is among us. I hope my audio is okay. Reid Ewing, who you might know as Dylan from Modern Family, he came out as a producer. Reid. So, he came out as a producer. And not just any, casual, oh yeah, I like, Mika, Ranko, I like Haruka, stuff like that. No, he is a hardcore producer. He showed his freaking,
Yeah, he didn't come out as like, he didn't come out as saying, "Oh, I like Ryamu," or "Oh, I only read the dojis." No, he came out as a hardcore producer. He has a whole figure collection. He has his own like Takane. He likes Chizuru. He likes those kinds of idols. And he has said that I am a dedicated producer to All Stars and SideM. And the coolest part about it is that he wasn't just some, big star that was doing it for like the cloud. Like he was very genuine. Like when people asked him questions of like, who's your favorite amongst this branch? He's like, I'm sorry, I can't really answer that question because I'm not too familiar with it because I don't have space on my phone. Like he was very genuine about, wanting to interact with the community, and that was a big surprise. That like usually like people in Japan, like celebrities, they'll come out and saying this being producers because idolmaster is such a huge series in Japan. But in America, where it's a lot more niche, you don't really see a lot of like English American producers, especially ones that are, very genuine about it.
Yeah, Reid Ewing is a king, and we must support him because, as I've said when I was discussing this, there's a lot of celebrities who just tend to like something, like especially in like the anime sphere, like not even just idolmaster. Like I like Evangelion. Okay, who's your favorite Evangelion character? And then they just shut up. Like they like to say they like Evangelion just to sound. Celebrities usually do that, but this guy, Reid Ewing, he knows his stuff. Like, the joke I made was, depending, like, your authenticity as a 765 producer depends on the hair of your Azusa figure. So if you have a long haired Azusa figure, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not questioning you anymore.
You are old school.
You are old school, you know your stuff, and he has a long haired Azusa figure. In fact, it's a rare figure to do. That's the long
He has the long hair wedding Azusa figure, which if you know your shit, that's not hard to come by. That's not easy to come by at all.
Yeah, that's one of the rarest idolmaster figures of all time. So, Reid Ewing is, again, he's from Modern Family. Currently airing. Is it currently airing, or I'm not quite sure?
I think it is, but I don't know if his character is still there.
Yeah, he was on Modern Family.
It already ended. Okay.
Yeah, it was. You can watch it, or you can usually watch Modern American TV shows, and
Probably on some streaming service that you already have.
yeah. So again, what really makes me happy about what he did was he wasn't doing it for clout. He's literally a genuine fan, and I guess this is one of the better parts of him being so honest is that he is part of the LGBT community, which really needed a nice way to have themselves represented in places like idolmaster, because there isn't a lot of opportunities, and it's not like he was capitalizing on it. We just know that he's part of it. Like, he's not using his celebrity status, he's not using his sexual status at all. He's just a genuine fan, and I've been waiting for someone like this guy for a long time. I just wanted somebody who likes the series from the bottom of his heart, and it's just great to find someone doing this now, and how they reply to things. And wow, Iori and Julie, that's something.
Yeah. It also like shows like he knows his stuff with the games, because I think it was like a comment to like one of Rio's SSRs, and he didn't just say I want that costume, he said I want that recolor. So he's at least aware of how the game's mechanics work.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that's a recolor if you don't play theater days. So he knows his craft. So
yeah, and he was also like interacting with Kobe on Twitter through the Midishita ENG account. Shout out to him. Where, he was genuinely asking, about how to improve in the game, how different mechanics work, how to do anime missions, stuff like that.
Yeah. So props to you, Reid. More power to you. And we give you all the support. Hope you do well in your producing life. So is that all? I think that we managed to cover up everything.
I think that's all the big stuff, yeah. Oh?
No.
Oh?
I forgot one last thing. And this isn't any of the branches. This isn't any of the branches that we have talked about. I'm going to end this podcast in a special way just for you.
Oh.
We actually have one more branch to talk about. Tomatsu Haruka, voice actor Ai Hinata, actually showed up in the 15th anniversary party with a very special message. So, Tomatsu Haruka, for those of you who don't know, is a very, 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 very busy anime website.
Yeah.
Asuna alone, from Sword Art Online, probably has her career set for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sword Art Online has lots of stuff to do. And, like, it's not going to end anytime soon. It's still super
Even with the light novels ending, there's still a lot of anime and video games to do for that series, so she's going to be there for a while.
So, Tomatsu Haruka actually appeared on the 15th anniversary party, and she had a special message. But I can't remember all of it, but I only remember one very special part of the message. It goes something like, I am an idolmaster voice actor. Please remember that. And that strikes a chord in all the Dearly Stars producers around the world. Because that shows
so happy.
Because that shows that Tomatsu Haruka still cares about Idolmaster. It's not that she let go of the series or she was done with it. She's just
she just doesn't have time.
Yeah, like,
and that's understandable.
For who she is, Tomatsu Haruka having time for Idolmaster would probably need a lot of talks to happen first. Now, that's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem is the other member of Dearly Stars that we need to bring back. That is Kana Hanazawa, the voice actor for Harry. And if we told you that Tomatsu Haruka was the music voice actor, I'm sorry, that does not compare to how big Kana Hanazawa she is.
Let's put it this way, we don't even need to mention her roles. You already know.
Yeah, I'm like, if you people are watching anime this season, you're probably watching 2 shows with her inside it.
If you're listening to this podcast, there is a 90% chance that the name Kana Hanazawa is familiar to you.
Exactly, and I guess it's like, it's not something that I say will have to pay attention to, that Haruka Tomatsu showed up. I'm not saying that the next twin stage is Dearly Stars already. I'm not saying...
I want it, though!
Yeah, you've been telling me that a million times. But, yeah, so, I'm not going to say that Dearly Stars 2020 is going to happen. I'm not going to say that the next twin stage is Dearly Stars. I'm not going to say that we're going to get the next Dearly Stars game. What I'm saying is, the mere fact that Tomatsu Haruka showed up and says that she is still an Idolmaster voice actor, and she wants us to remember that, gives us a slight spark of hope for one of the last memes we need to kill in the Idolmaster franchise. Because Really Live Anime was a hard meme to kill, but Dearly Stars Never is an even harder meme to kill.
Yeah.
We have a start.
Because there is so much going against Dearly Stars. Like, the game itself was on a DS, on a primarily Xbox franchise at the time. The game didn't ship that many copies. It didn't sell too well. You know, it was a completely different cast of characters. Like, there is so much going against Dearly Stars. Hell, like, freaking, like, Banamu Pro kind of already lost one of their idols when Ryo decided to move to SideM, where it's like, it's awesome on Ryo because, you know, it gives him character development and it gives, you know, him and Yuko Sanpei a way to, like, consistently be an IMAS. But it's also like, damn, does that mean Banamu Pro is just a 2-girl show now?
I don't know how they're going to do it, but again, we have a spark in this fire of hope for Dearly Stars. And it's like, it's something to keep in the back of your head. Because it's previously people just wrote Dearly Stars off, but now it's lingering. The possibility is ramping up that somehow, some way, when we least expect it, the opening xylophone intro to Hello is going to play, and then everyone's going to break down in tears.
I'm going to cry like a bitch.
So, yeah, we finally managed to talk about Dearly Stars on this podcast. Haha. So,
for what?
I guess that kind of wraps up all the branch news, because all the other, like, the joke was, if you're not on the Idolmaster general official site, then you don't exist anymore. Like, the Cinderella Girls don't exist, Cinderella Girls doesn't exist, IMAS-KR doesn't exist. So if you're not on that website anymore, you just kind of don't exist anymore.
Even though 2 out of those 3, honestly, should at least be given a shout-out.
Yeah, I guess. But, like, if there's anything to go by when I conclude this podcast, Idolmaster is going to change in 2020. And for better or worse, whether or not there was a pandemic, the Idolmaster that we had in 2019 is a completely different Idolmaster than we have in 2020. So there's a lot of things to expect, a a lot of new possibilities that are opened up now. Things that we perceive were never going to happen are going to happen. And I'm not saying you should expect everything, all your wishes to happen overnight. But keep your mind open, and maybe something might be right.
Hey, for God's sake, we got a Million Live Anime.
Yeah, Million Live Anime. The number one meme that needed to die just died. So again, any further thoughts before we close out the podcast? Because we're actually going up on... Oh, we didn't go for 4 hours. We're actually on 3.
Jesus, I actually thought it was going to be longer.
Well, we for the sake of the people watching. Any last thoughts? No, I will not.
But you just did!
No, it's like not the way Hinata does it.
Dodaro.
Yeah, so if there are no last thoughts, I appreciate Cho and Bella for coming on back to the show after 2 months. It's been pretty eventful so far. We'll have to do one for August. Well, August doesn't seem to be putting up a lot much news.
I mean, if anything, it's a good break.
Yeah, it's a really
Considering that we had to, use up all of our brain power to even remember what happened these past 2-3 months. I think August just being a more par for the course month, I think that'll be fine. Yeah. Alright, the 3 weekends of live streams, coño, duh.
Well, I guess that was more on, lining up a YouTube channel. Or was it Million Live? Yeah, Million Live.
Yeah, Million Live, they streamed a bunch of their content, over the past, few weeks and weekends.
And then Ariga-san, you got global trending in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, apart from all that good shit, y'all better do 3 things. Y'all subscribe to the idolmaster YouTube channel. Y'all better watch out for anything that's going to be on the idolmaster YouTube channel. And number 3, you better watch out because the secretaries are talking to each other.
Oh, no.
The Twitter accounts have now been changed to the secretaries of each branch. They're talking to each other. And if there's one group of people we can never be, it's them.
Oh no.
So you better watch out. Until
Fund Hazuki's yacht.
Fund the Shiny Colors anime, that's what you gotta do. But
I'm so glad that all the other secretaries are about to develop some bad sleeping habits.
You gotta put that mask on and get on the couch. Until then, this is the idolmaster subs channel. We'll be back to our regular schedule, so that we don't have much to talk about. And bother you with a 2-hour podcast vaccine. But until...
Gomenasari.
The next show, this is me, Reid Ewing, with my co-hosts, Metal and Joe. And we'll see you next time.